if we are going to be, you know, 100%, um, um, you know, righteous, with these scriptures, because it's giving us an ultimatum.
What do you mean it gives us an ultimatum? What would the ultimatum be?
I mean, it literally says, if whether it be, it said, if every soul that eat it, that which die of itself, it shall eat the blood of no more, for the life of all flesh is the blood thereof. Whosoever eat it shall be cut off. Right? So we don't see that a person of Israel is cut off. Nah, 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 no Spanish, bro. Nah, I don't know. Um,
You got to run that back. I didn't understand what you were saying.
so um, let me see. So I was saying it's giving us a somewhat of an ultimatum, right? It's giving us an option, right? Not here specifically in this verse, but it's saying that for one, at 14, if one eats something with blood in it, he will be cut off. But we don't see that circumstance with Israel unless they don't clean themselves, right? It says
Right.
he will bear his iniquity if he doesn't clean himself. So, to my understanding, it would make sense that one can give this food that dies of itself to one who is amongst their community. So I would take the stance that this is not talking about someone such as a person you could practice usury on. Now, I have to find the scripture, right? Um, Let me see. So basically, the scripture that we have in we got in the hot seat right now is the one. If you know which one I'm talking about, I got it in my notes. I don't got my notes in front of me, but you either give this food to a stranger or you sell it to a nakar. I believe that's the correct verbiage that is used within the text. It says, "Give it to the alien." We see a clear separation between gar and nakar in this text, and these are some of the nuances that may make a person confused and actually goes against a lot of the doctrines that we hear with the Hebrew Israelite brothers, because we see the use of these terms, you know, in specific chapters. We'll see stranger, alien, you know what I mean, sojourner. Sojourner sometimes means guard. Sometimes it means tosab. You know what I mean? I'm sure you would agree with that, right? So again, what I'm what I'm what I'm obsessing over right now, right, is the fact that we can eat this food, but after we eat it. So it would make obvious sense that we can sell this food to a nakar and practice the usury on that stranger. But the stranger that we giving it to, we not practicing usury. So basically, it's telling you sell it. Who cares what they do with it? Who cares what they do? But if you giving it to somebody that's that you would consider a gar, then we know they have to wash themselves. And it ultimately makes the point that you're looking out for the fatherless, you're looking out for the orphan, you're looking out for the widow, you're looking out for the needy, right? And I mean,
Nah.
I let my plan with that.
So the difference is this: usually, when you deal with the stranger that you see appearing as Gur, it's rendered that way, particularly in this context. Somebody who is a temporary inhabitant, like say somebody comes there because they got a gig amongst the Israelites, and then they leave and and go back to wherever they came from. So it says you can give it to them that is in thy gates that he may eat it, or you can sell it to an alien, which is nokri. And that's somebody who's just a foreigner in general. It don't necessarily mean that they're a temporary inhabitant. Maybe I want to get rid of these scraps and I go outside of the land and sell it to them. So that's where I would distinguish it. But the simplest way to distinguish is who is told not to eat those things and who is said that can eat them. Obviously, the Israelites are told never to eat those things. So I think that's where we simplify the matter. It says you must not eat anything that died a natural death. Or in the KJV, you shall not eat anything that dieth of itself. There's nothing there that's giving any wiggle room for an Israelite. It's saying, but when it comes to these people that's some outsiders, you go ahead and you give it to them. There's no need to be caught up on the definitions at this point, because we have more than two texts telling us that Israelites aren't supposed to eat these things. Look, Exodus 23, Salakia. Let me go back to where I was at. Boom. I'll find it again. Damn it. Exodus 22 it is.
I'm listening, brother.
It says Deuteronomy 22 and 31. You shall be holy men unto me, neither shall ye eat any flesh that is torn of beasts of the field. Ye shall cast it to the dogs. This is clearly talking to the children of Israel. So the way that we complicate things is by looking at definitions and thinking maybe there's a way that we squeeze some type of Israelite in here. Like, just because an Israelite is described as a stranger in some cases, the way that we eliminate the possibility of it saying it might be okay for Israelite to eat it is just by looking at Israelites in general are told never to eat those things. And though we're given judgments and processes in which we can cleanse ourselves for the sake of ceremony, that doesn't mean that it's okay. You know, like I'm supposed to wash myself after I lay with my wife, or I'm unclean to go in the temple. There's no way around that. Here it just says, you shall not eat of this type of food. And then later we see that there's a way to cleanse ourselves afterwards. But what we got to understand is that modern day, we got Hamashiach who done came and told us to live through the spirit. So what am I supposed to do? Am I supposed to say because the letter of the law says that as long as I clean myself, it's okay to eat whatever I want? Nah, because what we're supposed to do is live according to the spirit. Nobody's watching me to judge me. I'm supposed to judge myself, knowing that the Most High is watching and he's going to hold me accountable if I'm not responsible. So now that that's on the table, um, what other potentiality is there for equality between Israelites and heathen? Because I
Well,
kind of understand the
well,
course.
well. Before we move on, brother, we still have to um, clarify exactly why it is making the point. Now, I heard you said something to the effect that we have a cleansing process, such as when when a woman is on her menstrual, right, or when two a man and a woman lay with each other, they have to do a cleansing, right? We see the same. We see this cleansing with when a woman has a child, right? So you would say these cleansing tradition, not tradition, but customs is synonymous with the cleansing of eating food that dies of yourself. Is that where you would? Is that your position?
I'm saying that law is law, right? And what the scripture doesn't say is that a man can't lay with his woman. It says that you're supposed to lay with your woman. You're supposed to be fruitful and multiply. There's no confusion there. But we also see that you can't go into the temple without washing your ass first, right? And we see that you're going to be unclean until even anyway, right? With this, it's not saying it's okay as long as you wash your flesh, because we're told just not to do it. And then later we're given provision as to how to handle the situation if we do it. And
Mm-hmm.
it's regarded as sin nonetheless. That's what I'm saying. But then there's people who could do it and they don't gotta wash themselves.
Mm-hmm.
Nothing. They could just eat of it because they're strangers. But what I was saying is I don't understand the correlation between this in general and the topic of the Gentiles. Like,
Well, I would make the point that if what I'm saying is correct, then we have a huge issue with the doctrine, right? Because now that changes everything. Because
What is
if we going by the context of how I'm deciphering the text, then it would let us know that the gar is someone that is amongst you. And we would see that there's a separation between gar and Nakar, to where Nakar, matter of fact, let's go to the verse. Because I got my notes in front of me right now. Okay,
so when we talk about the word gar, we just talked about Leviticus 17, where in that context, it's mostly talking about a temporary resident, somebody who's living amongst the Israelites that is a stranger who is not from Israel. So
and
what,
you saying that's across the board, or is there a chance that the gar could also be, say you a Levite, I'm a Judite, and my brother want to come live in your land? Could he be considered a gar?
I'm not in this context because what it's called the process of elimination. So it's not righteous, in other words, for a Judite to sell something that dies of itself to another tribe because he's still an Israelite. Because the
Right.
overall context behind this, it comes with the volume of every law on the matter, right? You
Mm-hmm.
get what I mean when I say that? And I'm going to substantiate it. It says, you must be my holy people. It doesn't say you must be my holy tribe. It says, therefore, do not eat any animal that have been torn up or dieth of itself or whatever.
But we can't gloss over the fact that it says if you eat it, Israel eats it. You know what I'm
Right.
saying? So it's not a thing where it's not. We know that the major point is that you have to cleanse yourself if you do eat it.
Hold on, brother, real quick.
Yeah.
We're in Exodus 22. It
Uh huh.
says, you must be my holy people. Is that talking about Israelites?
Yeah.
It says, therefore, do not eat any animal that has been torn up and
Right.
killed wild animals. Throw it to the dogs, right? So this is repetitious. So the overall theme is that it is a sin to Israelites. So by the time we get to where you're talking about in the book of Leviticus, it's still talking about Israelites. So when it says that you have to clean yourself or that sin is going to be held against you, we understand why it's saying that the sin is going to be held against you is because that it's a sin for an Israelite to eat of that. That
Mm-hmm.
standard is not there for the strangers that come from other nations, whether they're dwelling amongst us or they're foreigners outside of the gates.
Mm-hmm.
It don't matter for them. For us, it's a sin. Just because we can wash ourselves and make ourselves clean afterwards doesn't mean that it's okay for an Israelite to do it, because God has ordained that if you got to be my separate people and you must not eat these things.
Mm-hmm.
Like Leviticus 22 also touches on it. Let me see. It says, he may not eat an animal that has died a natural death or has been torn apart by wild animals, for this would defile him. The priest must follow my instructions carefully, otherwise, they will be punished for their sin. Now, I'm not tripping. Look at verse 22. It says, the Lord said to Moses, tell Aaron and his sons, right? So this
Mm-hmm.
is particularly for the Levites in Leviticus 21.
Mm-hmm.
Now let's look at the one you was talking about, Leviticus 17.
Yeah.
The Lord
17:15.
said to Moses, give the following instructions to Aaron and his sons and all the people of Israel. So you see what I'm saying? Like, it doesn't matter what tribe you're from.
Mm-hmm.
So cross, you can't cross contaminate the tribes. You get what I'm saying?
You said you can't cross. How did you correlate that?
I
I'm
said
I'm
you,
I'm looking through my notes, brother. So I'm like I'm trying to follow you and find my specific verses. So you said you correlated the mixing. You said cross contaminate. Explain that to
yes,
me one more time.
I said you can't cross contaminate the tribe. Like basically that would be treating another tribe like they're not family. What I'm
Hmm.
showing is that in Exodus, it tells all Israelites in general that you're supposed to be my holy people. In Leviticus 22, it's talking just to the Levites and says they're not supposed to basically take sacrifices of those things and then eat of them. Then Leviticus 17 is talking to the Levites and the rest of Israel, going to
Facts.
show you that God's not distinguishing, saying if you're from this tribe, you can't eat it, but you can give it to the tribe next to you. There's a
Well,
cross contamination that would come into play, and that would be off as well.
right.
If
Okay.
any of the Israelites is
Hmm.
what it's talking about in Leviticus 17.
Mm, okay. All right. Let's go to Leviticus 11 and 40.
Leviticus 11 and 3,
40.
11 and 40.
Yeah.
Okay, come on.
Um. But if any water be put upon the seed, and any part of their carcass fall thereon, it shall be unclean unto you. So we know that. What is this? Um. We know that this is going in on the different ways that the food can become unclean,
Mhm.
right? And I just I want to make sure we agree that just this isn't talking about illegal food. This is talking about legal foods that has become unclean. I just
Yeah,
want to make sure. Okay, so we agree on that, right?
and we're no longer talking about food that died of itself either,
Well,
which is
it
abominable,
says, huh?
which is abominable within itself.
Well, where does it say it's abominable?
Abominable means that you're supposed to abhor it. You're
No,
supposed
I'm
to.
saying where do we see in the scriptures that it says food that dies of itself is abominable?
I'm
Like
talking.
that specific verbiage.
I'm not saying the specific verbiage is there. I'm saying there's an obvious connotation to what's abominable and what's not, just by the definition of it. So by virtue, God is saying that you're not supposed to eat these things; they're unclean. That's abomination
But
by definition.
that's my thing with the scriptures. We know Yahweh Shah told us that this thing is a double-edged sword. Was he the first one to say double-edged sword, or was there connotations to double-edged sword before Yahweh Shah got into the picture?
It cuts both ways.
But I'm saying, did David ever speak of a double-edged sword, or was
Not
that
that I
just something
remember.
from Yahweh Shah?
Not that I remember.
Okay, because I feel like hold on one second. I feel like these scriptures, right? Um, Israel fell off because we didn't see the double not the double side, and I don't want to say contradictions, but we didn't get to see the gray areas. So like I was watching this video just based off the Jubilees, and the guy was saying something to the effect that Israel got removed from the land, right? And now they were able to now the land was able to have its proper Sabbaths, or its proper Sabbaths. It's, you know what I'm saying, it's land rest. You know what I mean? So I kind of took Leviticus 25 as something that becomes, a contradiction, because we see that the land Sabbaths, and you could correct me if I'm wrong, but how long was we in Israel before the first captivity? You know
I
what I mean? Because
because there was
huh?
so. I said I can't call it because there was so many of them.
Right, right. So it's like sometimes it's hard for us to decipher these scriptures because a lot of times, and again, you could correct me if I'm wrong, but a lot of times we didn't even get the privilege to practice some of these laws because we was just so wicked from the jump. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, you see it throughout the northern and southern kingdom. It was like, David already had, you know, he was reaping shit that he already sowed. You know what I'm saying? So we see these issues throughout the scriptures. So I'm like, it's always this double meaning. Not to say that it's a contradiction, right? So I just said all of that to just, to make that point that it's not an abomination, bro. Like, it's an
What's not a
abomination.
denomination?
It's not an abomination to eat something that died of yourself. It's an abomination to not clean yourself. Because that's what the scriptures telling us. You feel me? Like, that's where I would stand like firmly on the square on that one, because it's like, unless you could tell me or show me where it say, yo, you if you eat this, you cut off. But the text is literally telling us, yo, if you don't clean yourself, then you're gonna have to face some type of stipulation, right? Because it don't say you cut off. It say you cut off if you eat the blood, for sure. But nowhere in the text does it say you cut off from the congregation. Like, so to go to 11:40, it say, he that eat of the carcass of it shall wash his clothes and be unclean until the even. He also that bear the carcass of it shall wash his clothes and be unclean until the evening. And every creeping thing that creep upon the earth shall be an abomination. It shall not be eaten.
Where you
Whatsoever
at?
go upon, huh?
Where you at?
I'm at 11:40.
Uh huh.
Right. So um, let me just make sure we get the full scope of
Are
the
you trying? Are you trying to
what's
say
that?
it says that it's an abomination in Leviticus for these creatures, and it doesn't say it for the animals that die of themselves? So it must not be an abomination after all. I don't get it.
No. I'm saying it's an abomination if we don't clean ourselves,
About the you
right?
talking about the things that die of itself, right?
Exactly. Because I'm linking this all back to what's that? What's that? Eat nothing that dies of itself. Deuteronomy 14:21. I'm focused on the fact that Gar, and you said that you agreed that the Gar is someone, or you made the point. I don't know if we agree on what Gar is, because it's a lot that's on the table when it comes to Gar. So I
Gar
would,
means
huh?
temporary. Say Gar means temporary resident.
But then there's other situations where the Gar would actually mean an Israelite, though, right?
Israelite could be a temporary resident in somebody's land.
Okay.
Because every tribe has their own land allotment.
hmm For sure. And that's why I would go back to Leviticus 25 to make the point that um a stranger was not to have, or a heathen who was bought and circumcised was never to have usury practiced on him, because his lot would be within the household that he is bought from.
Where does it
So
say
we
that?
was, huh?
Where does it say that?
um we could get there, but before we do that, right? Before we do that, right? um I want to make the point that, so check this one out, bro. This one is cold. This one is cold, man. Right? So Leviticus 27:11. Before we get to the Leviticus 25, I just want to make a clear get everything under the scope, right? So 27:11. And if it be any unclean beast, matter of fact, let's do 27 and 9. And if it be a beast whereof men bringing an offering unto the Lord, all that any man give of such unto the Lord shall be holy.
Mhm.
He shall not alter it nor change it, a good for a bad or a bad for a good. And if he shall at all change beast for beast, then it and the exchange thereof shall be holy. And if it be any unclean beast of which they do not offer a sacrifice unto the Lord, so now we see that it's an unclean beast that is not made a sacrifice. Now we know that Israel's not to touch the unclean beast. So by process of elimination, this unclean beast is one that dies of itself. Would you agree with that?
I wouldn't say by virtue it says that because it tells the priest that they're not supposed to deal with those beasts. Here it's
Okay.
saying that the priest is
Uh-huh.
still supposed to observe the beast and see what it is worth. So there's not really much
Right.
to examine if it's a dead beast.
Okay. So you are familiar with this chapter, right?
It's talking about a vow.
So if okay, let's continue. And if it be any unclean beast of which they do not offer a sacrifice unto the Lord, then he shall present the beast before the priest. So if I come to the priest, you a Levite, I come to you with some a ox that just it died of itself, and I come to show you the different forms of the meat and the condition of what the meat is in. You're gonna determine which is good, right? Is that the understanding that we're getting with this?
Excluding a beast that dies of itself.
Excluding.
Yeah, excluding that.
Where you see that at, brother?
It just says if your vow involves an unclean animal, one that is not acceptable as an offering to the Lord, then you must bring the animal to the priest. He will
Right.
assess its value, and his assessment will be final, whether high or low. If you want to buy back the animal, you must pay the value set by the priest plus 20%. If
Right.
someone dedicates a house to the Lord, the priest will come to assess its value, and the priest's
So
assessment will be
that's
final.
going somewhere else.
Higher.
That's speaking about houses.
You're right, it's going somewhere else entirely. You can't do this with an offering unto the Lord, like the
It just told
sacrifices
you it's
that
not an offering though, bro. It just told you it's not an offering.
it says that aren't allowed. So what I'm trying to point out is that this isn't talking about the same thing as what we were talking about earlier. So I don't get the correlation between this.
It is though, because it's telling you that I'm offering it to you. Like if we put this in context,
You could buy it back.
I'm bringing
You can
some,
buy back of the sacrifices from the Lord.
huh?
This is not held to the same standard. This is not a sacrifice to the Lord like the other
No, it's
sacrifices.
something that I'm gonna be selling. It's going back. It's to what it sounds to me is it's going right back to Deuteronomy 14:21. This is how we are supposed to evaluate the meat that we are going to sell to the Nakar and the meat that we are going to give to the guard.
This
It
isn't
shows,
talking about
huh?
giving meat to the Nakar or the guard.
No, I'm not saying that this scripture particularly is speaking about that. I'm saying 27 and 10 is a precept to 14 and 21 and how we are supposed to deal with the specific meats that dies of itself. Like I said, if I come to you as a Judite and you're a Levite, you're gonna examine the meat that I just brought to you. You're gonna tell me if it's good or it's bad, and you're gonna give me the value on that. That's what this scripture is telling us, brother.
It's
It's
not
telling
what
you
it's telling us.
it
It's talking
say
about
it
the
say he
priest.
should. So what? Wait, hold on. What? Which? Because I'm in the KJV. You're in the. Which one are you in?
This is talking about the priest evaluating. So this isn't talking about intertribal exchanges.
Yeah, but which Bible are you in right now?
I mean, all of them.
Okay, so he shall not alter it nor change it, a good for a bad or a bad for a good. If he
Yeah.
shall,
Essential that you start at verse 8. It
okay,
says, but if he be poorer than thy estimation, then he shall present himself before the priest, and the priest shall value him according to his ability. That vowed shall the priest value him. If it be a beast whereof men bring an offering unto the Lord, all that any man giveth such unto the Lord shall be holy. He shall not alter it nor change it. Good for bad, and so on and so on. So this is talking about the priest. Verse 12 even echoes it. It says, and the priest shall value it. So this isn't talking about men of different tribes dealing with each other, evaluating meats. This is talking about something very specific that takes place at the temple, where we're not talking about a sin offering where the requirements are as such, or a goodwill offering. This is talking
Oh,
about
okay.
something practical where these beasts are used. Like a pig still has value, you know what I'm saying, except outside for food. But then when you get into a beast that's died of itself, what value does it have but to be sold? So
What,
if we
hold
can,
on, brother. Hold on. You just said a pig has value.
yeah, we used to use them for trash. You know that we used to dispose of our things and feed them to the pigs. Pigs were important for agriculture.
Yeah, but where do we see that we allowed to touch it though?
You're not supposed to touch the carcass of a pig. That's a dead body.
But where does it say we could touch a pig?
You can touch a pig.
But where does it say that?
Look, I'm going to show you where it says we can't touch a pig, and it says the carcass. So Deuteronomy 14:8, the swine, because it divideth the hoof, yet cheweth not the cud, it is unclean to you. You shall not eat of their flesh, nor touch their dead carcass.
Mm-hmm.
So that's the only place where we're told not to touch it, and we're told not to touch its dead body.
Okay. I know that, brother. But where it say we
Oh,
allowed to
good.
touch it?
Oh,
You
good.
got to show me. You got to show me where it say, or show me an example of Israel touching a pig in general,
Why do I have to do that?
because that's we got to use precepts to prove our doctrines.
I mean, brother, what does this have to do with the overall subject? I'm just showing you that what you just said wasn't true.
Because I mean, we obviously we disagree on the way that we exegesis the scripture and how these things apply with logic and context. Because if you're telling me that the priests are examining the certain food, it it would be obvious that he's examining this for anyone that brings it to him, so that we can now sell it or give it, right? Right.
You're losing me. I'm not gonna lie. I'm kind of just trying to listen so I can see if I can catch what I've been missing. Like
He
I
shall
don't
not
understand.
alter it nor change it. And if it be a beast, wherefore men bring an offering unto the Lord, all that any man give of such unto the Lord shall be holy. Right? Anything that you give to the Lord should be holy. He shall not alter it nor change it, a good for a bad or a bad for a good. So he's offering something to the Lord, right? And if he shall at all change beast for beast, then it and the exchange thereof shall be holy. And if it be any unclean beast of which they do not offer a sacrifice unto the Lord, then he shall present the beast before the priest, and the priest shall value it, whether it be good or bad, as thou value it. Who art the priest, so shall it be. But if he will at all redeem it, then he shall add a fifth part thereof unto thy estimation. So if this is talking about um the brother that is giving it to the Levite, he is to redeem it. If he is to redeem it, he shall add a fifth part unto the estimation, right? Or is that the Levite that's saying he's gonna tax him even more for the estimation?
Read it
Either
again.
either either or we see that there's an exchange going on, regardless if it's the Levite giving them the estimation, or the regardless, right? So, and when a man shall sanctify his house to be holy unto you, the Lord, then the priest shall estimate it, whether it be good or bad, right? So we just seeing it's going into the different ways that the priests are to examine, if things are clean or good, and if you can sell it or not.
Mhm.
That's, I mean, right? No, am I tripping?
It's talking about exchanging, but for what?
To sell something, brother. And if he that sanctified, wait, and when a man shall sanctify his house to be holy unto the Lord, then the priest shall estimate it, whether it be good or bad. So the priest, they literally, like, they the scientists, they the doctors, they the real estate agents, they handle everything when it comes to just exchanging, determining if something is clean. Would you agree with that?
I would agree that they are the ones who are determined in this situation. They're the overall judges and the stewards over this matter.
Right, right. So we that's what it's showing us the examples of how the Levites will determine what is good or bad, and how much of a portion, right? Because it's telling you the estimation of what's good or bad, and you can exchange it, right? You're making an exchange. So I'm trying to make the point that the guard is someone who is amongst Israel, and you are supposed to give this food to the guard to either help him. But when it comes to the Nakar, we could practice usury on him. We could sell that to the Nakar. So
Mhm.
we're not supposed to practice usury on a guard
We're not supposed to practice usury on an Israelite. Like,
or someone
don't
who has been bought or circumcised.
it don't say that because you could possess somebody who's been circumcised or bought forever, and you can't possess an
Okay,
Israelite. So
watch this though.
at the end of the day,
Yeah,
that's why I asked you. That's why I asked you what the correlation was
yeah,
between the point you're trying to make and with
yeah,
your overall view, because I don't understand what you're trying to say entirely. When we originally talked, it was with regards to the Gentiles and
yeah.
really whether or not they were equal, whether they would get salvation. So
Uh
all
huh.
this is doing is raising points of contention. And while
Hmm.
there are points we could discuss and I could give you edification on them, it's still not getting at the point because there's no way around the fact that you could possess a heathen forever and not an Israelite. You know what I'm saying? Like
Yeah,
even
yeah,
if
yeah, yeah. No, I agree. I agree.
okay,
I
I
wanted.
just don't understand what's supposed to be happening here.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Nah, I just wanted to get to a place real quick to see if we can agree on certain things. I wanted to, yeah, just weigh some things out real quick. Now, now when we get to the context of the Gentiles, aka heathens, aka the strangers, right? Or even aka a bed, right? And we also know that Israel could be considered a bed, right, in the Hebrew. But we see that word bondservant is applied in the Hebrew as a bed, right? Let me ask you this. If I buy a stranger, right? And this is what it's telling us Leviticus 25. If I buy a stranger, that's my stranger. That's my servant, right? You following me out, right?
If you buy a servant, he's your servant.
He's my servant, right?
Yeah, he's your property.
He my property, right? So
Right,
you don't have the rights to do whatever you want to my property, right?
right.
So then wouldn't that ultimately and emphatically mean that he is a part of my household?
You can look at it as that.
Then that kills that's let's like we can close the book.
But I don't understand that. Can an Israelite be property?
He's property to the most high.
Okay, but he can't be property to another Israelite.
Well, not in the sense of one possessing him forever.
No, he can't be property ever to somebody else. So that's an Israelite.
Well, when we go to Leviticus 25, we see that he has a contract that he must fulfill,
But
right?
he's not property because it says that he specifically belongs to the Lord. But like now that
But
we're
then you can
now
say
that
the
we're
same thing. I'm
now that
sorry.
we're
I'm sorry.
venturing off,
Go ahead. Brother. Go ahead.
no, you good. But now that we're venturing off from Leviticus 27, which is talking about somebody making a vow in terms of something that they would give, and then coming in, and if they're choosing to exchange what they promised to give for something else because they don't have what they promised they was going to give, and the priest evaluating it to see what its value is and all of that. We're now looking at Leviticus 25 to do what?
We're looking at Leviticus 25 to determine who is the stranger, who is the one you are supposed to practice um um who is the one that you're supposed to bring into your household, keep him as one of your own, right? That's what we're trying to determine, right?
Oh,
And who is the one that is supposed to be a bond servant forever, right?
oh, all right. So Leviticus 25, starting at verse 39, says, "If thy brother that dwelleth by thee be waxen poor, and be sold unto thee, thou shalt not compel him to serve as a bondservant."
Right.
This is important because this is as sticky as it's going to get with regards to the matter. There's indentured servitude, and you briefly touched on it. So
Hmm.
there's a value that the this person would get, and usually it's not sold for money right off. A lot of times, if somebody's poor, it's because they don't got the money, and what they want to do is contract out labor. Then there's situations where there could be an Israelite being fronted some money, and then that person would have to stay in that Israelite's custody until they're able to work up the value to get themselves out of that situation. Right. So it says, "If thy brother that dwelleth by thee be waxen poor and be sold unto thee, thou shalt not compel him to serve as a bondservant," which is a slave. Right. And then here we go. It says, "But as an hired servant and as a sojourner, he shall be with thee, and he shall serve thee unto the year of Jubilee. Then shall he depart from thee, both he and his children with him, and shall return unto his own family, and unto the possession of his fathers shall he return.
Hmm.
They are my servants, which I brought forth out of the land of Egypt. They
Hmm.
shall not be sold as bondmen. Thou
Hmm.
shalt not rule over him with rigor, but shall fear the Lord thy God. Both thy bondmen and thy bondmaids, which thou shalt have, shall be of the heathen round about you." And that just is from the word goy. So the nations that are round about you. "Of them shall ye buy bondmen and bondmaids. Moreover, the children of the strangers that do sojourn among you, of them shall ye buy, and of their families that are with you, which they beget in your land, they shall be your possession."
Right.
So
So hold on. Let me ask you this: is there a difference between the bondman that we can buy and the stranger that we can buy, or is this a reiteration when we see the stranger you can buy from, and then we see at the top it say the bond, your bondman and your bondmaids are supposed to be from the heathen? Is this the same person? Is the ones that you buy from the heathens, are they the same as the ones that we can buy from the strangers? Are these the same people? Is this the
exactly,
same? This okay? So it's a reiteration, right?
exactly.
Okay, cool, cool, cool. All right, so I would say that this is telling us that the one that you are buying is the one that you are not supposed to practice, you know what I'm saying, usury on. You're not supposed to practice rigor on this person because you bought him.
Nah,
Now,
it's that the
now
Israelite.
hold on. Let me finish though. Let me finish though. And it's
There's no need for you to finish. We got to nip that in the bud. You cannot rule over an Israelite with rigor. There's nobody else that we're told not to rule over with rigor. So we got to read that part again,
but see,
right?
this is the problem though, brother, because like I was trying to say earlier, if I have a servant that is mine, then you can't just take my servant and deal with him as a bond servant. You get
Nobody's
me?
nobody's talking about that though.
But
We're
that's what this
talking about
scripture is telling us, though, brother.
no.
It's telling us that we can't just use any stranger for anything. This is my stranger.
That's
This is my bond
that's
servant.
not what's being said at all.
It is though, brother. I'm gonna tell you why.
25 and 40. You don't got to tell me. We're gonna read it. It
Okay.
says, "But as an hired servant," who are we talking about? Your brother that dwelleth by thee.
So there's
And
no chance.
look at
There's no.
real quick. If you look at other translations, it says your fellow Israelite. It says, "If your brother that dwelleth by thee be
Yeah,
waxed."
and we the point of contention is that the fellow Israelite we
Brother,
disagree.
I
We
need you.
disagree.
I need you to listen and digest at this
Okay.
point.
Okay.
Just listen and digest. You. want to be nice to your servant, you can, but it doesn't change the fact that the law sets a standard, and how you want to treat your servant doesn't change the standard that's across the board. The
Where does
standard,
this say practice rigor on the stranger? Because
I'm
what y'all doing,
trying to show you.
y'all are
I'm trying to show
equating.
you. And
Okay,
what the
go ahead.
standard is that you cannot treat an
And please don't
Israelite.
go to Deuteronomy, bro, because
I'm
Deuteronomy is
I'm
talking about.
staying right here where we're at. So the standard is that you cannot treat an Israelite any old kind of way. You can treat the heathen a certain way, but you cannot treat an Israelite a certain kind of way. We don't even have to harp on rigor. What it's saying is that the person that you're not supposed to rule over with rigor, the person that you're not supposed to buy and own is an Israelite.
Right.
There's nowhere that we can read in that this is talking about somebody that
I'm not reading in anything.
amongst us that's a Gentile. It says, if your brother, what is the word brother? The word brother, we all know it. It's ak. It means relative, kinship. We're not talking about somebody who believes what you believe. There's no obscurities there. It says, if your brother that dwelleth by thee waxes poor and be sold unto thee, thou shalt not compel him to serve as a
Okay,
bond
watch this,
servant.
bro. Watch this,
Bro,
big bro.
hold on
Watch
real
this,
quick.
big bro. Big bro. Listen to me.
Hold
Listen to me.
on, because I
If
gotta.
I'm your brother,
You
if
just
I'm
got.
your
Don't use if I'm your brother right now. Just hold on. I said I need you to
okay,
listen and
okay,
digest.
all right. I'm gonna have some decorum. I'm gonna fall back.
I appreciate that very much. It says, thou shalt not compel him to serve as a bondservant. So that's where the focus should be. It's telling you not to use an Israelite as a bondservant, but as an hired servant. And as a sojourner, he shall be with you and shall serve unto the year of Jubilee. Then shall he depart from thee, both he and his children with them. Now, verse 42 says, for they are my servants. So it's not talking about anybody else. It says, for they are my servants, which I brought forth out of the land of Egypt. Whose
For
servants?
sure,
God. It
for
says,
sure.
they
From
shall
out of
not
Egypt.
hold as bondmen. Thou shalt not rule over him with rigor, but thou shalt fear thy God. So now it's talking about who you can sell it or buy as a bondman. Both thy bondman and thy bondmaids, which thou shalt have, shall be of the heathen that are round about you. If we don't complicate things, what we see is that heathen are bondmaids and bondmen, in other words, slaves, Israelites are not. They can be temporary indentured servants. So we don't need to go in there and make it any more complicated. There's
But
no more said about the matter. Do you agree with
how are
what
they
we said?
temporary when you how are they temporary when you own them for a possession, brother?
I'm talking about the Israelites are temporary because it says that you hold them into the year of Jubilee. You know, you remember that we just read that the year of
Right,
says, but as a
right.
hired servant and as a sojourner, he shall be with thee and shall serve thee into the year of Jubilee. So this is
Right.
who is temporary. The
Okay.
bondman or the bondwoman, you own them forever. So I'm saying the text says that you own a heathen forever. You do not own an Israelite,
Okay.
right?
Okay.
We agree with that. Do
uh,
we agree with
at,
that or not?
at, say the question again.
It says that an Israelite is temporarily a servant through indentured servitude, essentially. But it says that a heathen can be owned forever. Do we agree with that or do we not agree with that?
We agree, but we disagree on the fact that Israel, to me, to my understanding, Israel is anybody that has been bought and circumcised with your money.
So
And I'm
you have to circumcise a bond slave when you buy them. You know that?
exactly
So how do you own them forever once you circumcise them?
because they're a part of your possession now.
No, but are they Israelites once you circumcise them?
All right, look, brother. Let me
Yes or
let me
no?
do my
Yes or
because
no?
you got it. You but the thing
I need,
is,
I need it on the record.
I'm gonna give you your answer. I'm gonna give you your answer.
All right.
But you can't control the entire narrative. You got to let me drop my exegesis as well.
I just want to understand you because when you were allowed to just say what you were saying, I did not understand you, and so you can't
And
say
that's fine.
you can't say I don't let you, and you can't say I'm controlling the narrative. I have to take some control at this point because what you're saying is losing me. And so
That's
I'm trying
fine.
to make sure we agree by looking at simple points. The text says you cannot own an Israelite, but you can own a bondservant. You're saying we don't agree in this way, where once you circumcise somebody, they become an Israelite. I do not agree with
They,
that. So now
right.
what I'm doing is asking you another question so that
I'm
we
not
can.
asking you anything. I'm not asking you
I
nothing
said
at this
I'm
point.
asking you a simple question. I said,
Okay.
I'm asking you a simple question based on simple logic so that these things are on the table. Once I
Okay.
circumcise a heathen, does he become an Israelite?
He is he is
Do I
of the nation of,
do I then
can I
have to
answer?
let him go at the year of Jubilee?
You said what about the Jubilee?
I said, once he becomes an Israelite, do I have to let him go at the year of Jubilee?
Yes.
Where does the Bible say that?
And I'm gonna give you the context now. Can I speak, brother?
Show me, if you could show me in Leviticus 25. If not, let me know first and foremost, because I
Yes,
want
I
to
can
read
show you.
this in Leviticus 25. You're going to show me.
Yes.
All right.
So Leviticus 25 is literally talking about the stranger that has been bought and circumcised. This is why when it goes to the bondservant, it is reiterating itself. And this is why we have so many issues with this particular chapter with everybody, the Christians, the Israelites, everybody, the atheists. Nobody can agree on this Leviticus 25. Can you agree with that? That we
Nah, I
get
don't agree with that. There's 144,000 men that will agree with this.
okay, for sure, for sure. I'll take that. I'll take that. So, all right,
Most atheists believe in this, and that's why they don't like the Bible, because they don't
mm,
like that God would judge this way. I
got you,
know
got you,
know
got you,
of
got you.
atheistic scholars in the law that don't like the Bible because this says what it
For sure,
says.
for
I'm
sure, for
listening
sure.
to you.
Yeah, 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 yeah. For sure, for sure. We at the same place on that. But I would say that it's to me, it's a problem with the atheists, and they don't deal with the Bible because they think that this is a verse that is speaking towards slavery, right? That's the point I'm trying to make is that it's not talking about a slavery to where one is practicing rigor as the Egyptians did, and I'll explain why. Because as I said earlier, that if I have a stranger that I just bought, I have a heathen stranger, I bought him, right? The context of this chapter is literally telling us that if my stranger, my servant goes into your land, bro, big bro, he going to your land, he got to come back to my land after the fifth after that 50 happens. That's what it's telling us, bro. That's what it's literally telling us. Because my stranger fell into decay, bro. And you know what's even wilder about this,
How does
big
your
bro?
stranger fall into decay if he's living in your household on your land being
Because
sustained?
I fell into decay. I fucked up. I'm oppressed right now. Now he got to go and find another spot. And you know what's even wilder? Who's supposed to pierce their ear if they love their master? You telling me Naphtali's supposed to pierce his ear? Hell no. Naphtali's supposed to go back to his land after the 50.
But
Why?
that's
Why
what it
Naphtali?
says, though.
Huh?
It
Huh?
says that the Israelite can waive that right after the year of Jubilee, and he can stay. So it's not talking about some heathen. It literally is saying after the year of Jubilee, which is for an Israelite, this person can say, I love my master and my children and I want to stay. And then you shall bore his ear through. But you
And it
said you
says
was
you
going
could
to show me in Leviticus 25. So I want you, because
wait.
you have
Hold on.
not.
Hold on. You said it could waive the Jubilee once he
Yeah,
pierced
that's
his ear.
what, yeah. We'll go there
It's
after you show me in Leviticus
okay.
25. I want you
Okay.
to read 45 through 46.
Okay. I got you. Hold on. Hold on. Let
I
me
need
get.
a thorough understanding of what this is talking about.
I got you. Let me get. I got the iPad right now. Hold up. 25 to 46. Right.
Come,
Hold up. Give it a little. Give me a little second, man.
you
Showing
good.
what. All right. I'm right there. Hold up. Right there. So okay, let's do. You said all right. Let's start at 44. Both thy bondmen and bondmaids which thou shalt have shall be of the heathen. We know heathen right here means nations that are round about you. Of them shall ye buy bondmen and bondmaids. We know this term is abed, and we also know that Israel was called abed, right? So basically, it means servant. The only difference with this scripture when it says a heathen isn't a bed, it means that he can be kept for the rest of his life. The rest of the Israelites are not kept, right? So moreover of the children of the strangers. We know that this word stranger is tosab, right? That do sojourn among you. Of them shall ye buy, and of their families that are with you, which they begat in your land, and they shall be your possession. So we know that once you buy this person, they are a part of your possession. They are a part of your inheritance. And another way I would precept that is with Sheshan and his Egyptian servant. We see that the Egyptian servant married in, and he became a possession. His children became a possession. That's clear cut, bro. That's clear cut. And y'all can swear up and down Shishan he was actually nah, bro. This is telling you right here. That's a cut. And ye shall take them as an inheritance for your children after you. Again, it's showing you, it's cutting y'all doctrine, bro.
No, read that.
Y'all gonna it
As
say if you're
moreover, you
gonna
shall what?
inherit, it say y'all should take them as an inheritance, and ye should take them as an inheritance for your children after you. We
Mhm.
see in the lineage of Shishan that he wasn't a part of the lineage, but his children was. God damn, tell me I'm lying. Tell me I'm lying, Osh. We see that his children was a part of the lineage of Israel, a part of Judah. At that point, y'all, we inherited them. We didn't inherit
We
Sheshan.
we
What's the brother?
inherited them. I don't disagree. It also says
Exactly.
that the sons of Solomon's servants were reckoned among the people that came back from Ezra. That changes nothing. So go ahead and finish it out. So I can ask you a question about this particular part.
Okay, hold up. And ye shall take them as an inheritance for your children after you, to inherit them for a possession. They shall be your bondmen forever, but over your brethren, the children of Israel, ye shall not rule one over another with rigor.
So
Now that
just here,
colon, hold on,
it
hold on.
says,
Let me finish. Let me finish. That
all right,
colon right there, that colon, right after they shall be your bondmen forever. Right after the colon, but over your brethren, the children of Israel, ye shall not rule one over another with rigor. This is referring to the brother that you just bought, bro. That's what the colon means.
no, it don't, man. This is that. Like, I'm not gonna lie, man. You want it to be that? That's fine. It's not what it says. It says, "You shall take them as an inheritance for your children after you." Who is it talking about? It's still talking about the stranger that sojourn among you. It's still talking about the bondmen and the bondmaids which you bought from the heathen. And it says, "You shall take them as an inheritance for your children after you, to inherit them for a possession. They shall be your bondmen and your bondmaids forever. But for your brethren, the Ben Yasharallah, you shall not rule over one another with rigor." This is why it says, "You shall not rule over one another." You mean to tell me that we need to even put anything in text to tell some Gentile that they can't rule over a fellow Israelite?
Nah,
So it says, "You shall not rule over one another," telling us how we're supposed to treat each other. All right.
yeah, for sure. But when we now, this is what gets even crazier though. Now we got to exit Jesus 47.
What does, real quick though,
But yeah,
what,
because that 47 is even colder. That like that even is
what does
crazy.
possession forever mean?
Possession mean you if you want to use them to give them to your daughter, you want to give them to your son, you can possess them that way. So now
Okay.
their children are part of the line. Like
Okay.
I just said with Shishan.
So the word possession is akuzah. Does that word mean property?
I mean, you tell me, brother. You got the joint out in front of you. Just
I, just,
just lay it out, brother.
I just wanted to give you an opportunity to look at it, just in case
I mean,
you.
I'm not a scholar with the Hebrew, bro. I'm just trying to exegesis the scriptures. Just go ahead,
So
tell me
so the
what you mean, bro.
So the word possession, and if you wanted to reference it at another time, is Strong's H272. It's akuza. It means property.
Right,
So it says they're supposed to be your property. It says to inherit them for property. They shall be your bondmen forever.
right.
So you said earlier that you can not own a heathen forever once he's circumcised, but that
No,
pretty much
I said
is.
no, 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 no. Don't do that, bro. Don't do
You
that. I
said it.
didn't.
You
No,
said it.
that's.
Recorded,
I
bro.
said. I said when she falls into decay. Once that.
Nah. Let me run it
That's
back. This is what you said. You
no.
said
That's not
that.
what I said, bro. I know
I'm
what
gonna,
I
I'm gonna
said.
tell you exactly what you
Now,
said. You
now I'm
said that
telling
when
you what
they're,
I said, bro. You can't tell me what I said. I'm
I
telling you what I
can't
said.
because it's recorded, bro. You
Oh,
said that
and when you run it back, you're gonna be like, God damn, this brother
once
talking
he,
some crazy
nah,
shit. I
nah,
just told you that if my stranger wants to dwell with you, bro,
bro,
that you
chill
gotta give
real
him
quick.
back after 50. That's what I
Real-
said.
Chill real quick. You said that
See,
if you circumcise,
you playing, huh?
tell me if I'm wrong. You said that if you circumcise a Gentile, they become an Israelite,
I
right?
said they are in citizenship, and now he is my possession.
You didn't
That's what
say
I said.
citizenship. You said they become
I'm
Israelite.
telling you right now, bro. That's my point. Like
All right.
you keep on talking about what I said over there. Let's keep walking, bro. We walking.
We can't walk based off of us not remembering what each other said. Like I don't do this not remembering what people said and then respond to them based off of no understanding of what they said,
Brother,
which is
you
why I
glossed
was
over the fact that I brought up Shishan and how we possessed his children. Like
because
you can't even
because
tell me if you
we're
agree
not
on that.
moving past Leviticus 25. That's why we can address anything else after we deal with this. I specifically said I wanted you to break this part down because of a contradiction. And it wasn't necessarily that you double talked yourself, but you had an ideology, which is that once you circumcise a Gentile, they're considered a brother or an Israelite. And
Okay,
so I
do I
asked
need a
you,
precept for that? Do I
so
need a
then I
precept?
asked you, so then I asked you, can you possess a heathen forever? And then
Right.
you said if they're circumcised, they become an Israelite. I said, can you possess an Israelite forever? We came to the conclusion that basically you're standing on that if a heathen is circumcised,
Oh, I
an
see what
Israelite.
you're doing.
So
I
I
see what
said, so I said,
you're
do I have to then let the heathen go at the time of Jubilee then?
uh-huh.
And so your answer was what? What do you believe about that? That way I'm not putting words in your mouth.
Okay, so when you circumcise a heathen,
Do you have
he
to
is
let them go at the year of Jubilee once you circumcise them?
no, no, listen, brother. Let me give you the context. Let me give you
Bro,
the context.
I just want a yay or no, bro.
I'm
Do
not gonna just give you a yeah or no to your question, bro. You gotta hear my context though. You can't
Well,
just
you
play
gave
off
your
your
context.
context, huh?
You gave your context,
I
and
told you
now
the con.
here we are struggling with the fact that you're saying you
Nah,
didn't
you
say something.
struggling with understanding what I'm saying, brother. I've been told you if my stranger goes into your land, that stranger that I have, he is my possession forever. I'm telling you that Leviticus 25 is saying, if my heathen, my servant, goes into your land, me and you, we Israelites, you big bro, you Judah on the block, and I'm Benjamin on the block. He going to your land. You got to give me my servant back, big bro.
It's
That's what
not.
I'm telling
It
you.
doesn't talk about none of that here, though.
It just said it. It said he
Oh,
got to go back to his land at the Jubilee.
okay. All right, brother. So I'm just gonna recap real quick. Real quick. Where it says, if thy brother that dwelleth by thee waxes poor and be sold unto thee, thou shalt not compel him to serve as a bondservant. That's talking about a heathen.
You should not compel him to serve as a bond servant.
That's talking
Right.
about a heathen.
No, no, no. Okay, so where we at? Where we at?
We're at 39 in Leviticus 25.
And if thy brother that dwell by thee be waxing poor and be sold unto thee, thou shalt not compel him to serve as a bond servant.
That's
Right.
That's talking
Right.
about heathen.
It's saying that 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 stranger cannot be a bond servant to you.
Is it talking about a heathen?
Yes.
Okay. But as an hired servant and as a sojourner, he shall be with thee and shall serve thee into the year of Jubilee.
Right.
And then shall he depart from thee, both he and his children with him, and he shall return to his own family, and unto the possession of his father shall he return. So that means
Exactly.
he can leave the land again.
It
Or
means go back. It means go back to me.
but how
He
is living
he
with
was
you
just a
his
hired
possession?
servant to you. He was just a hired servant to you, and now he has to come back to me. I'm his father, basically.
So he has property among you?
He don't have. I mean, does he have property?
Yeah,
Uh,
because it says back to his possession
does he have property?
and unto
Yeah, yeah, yeah. He got
okay.
property. Yeah,
Okay,
he
so
got
let's
property.
build off of that. Verse 41 says, then shall he depart from thee, both he and his children with him, and he shall return unto his own family and unto the possession of his fathers shall he return. That's talking
Right.
about returning to you.
Right.
So you owned his fathers?
Nah, nah. I mean, that's possible. Yeah.
Okay, so this is where the contradictions come, brother. And this is why I'm asking you these questions. And I know it can be tedious, but the word possession again means property. So this is saying that he has to have some type of property amongst you. You know, you're not supposed to give the property of the Israelites isn't supposed to exchange all from tribe to tribe, right?
Facts.
And so it's
Facts.
supposed to stay amongst the tribes. So you saying that if you're a Simeonite, this heathen becomes a Simeonite?
Well, I don't understand what you gotta slow it down a little bit.
Saying if you
Because you said if
circumcise,
I'm a Simeon, you said if I'm a Simeonite, he becomes a Simeonite in what
as
kind?
you,
What do you?
as you circumcise him, does he become like a spiritual Simeonite?
Not a spiritual Simeonite, but a civilian. He's a civilian of Simeon.
But does he become a Simeonite? Like, do his father, like, can he now say the Simeonites are my fathers?
See, I know where you're going with this, bro. But
Well, let's
I
go
know
there.
where you. But I want to be respectful, bro. You know what I'm saying? And I know we had a point of where we just had a bunch of confusion, but I'm not trying to put no words in your mouth, and I would, respect it if you don't put any words in my mouth, right? I just want to get a full scope and a complete understanding, right? So the way I would answer the question you just asked me is, you said, does he become a Simeonite? The way I would answer that is like I keep on bringing up with Shishan, how Shishan, he came in as an Egyptian, but then his children, they became Judites. So if that heathen come into my land, I'm a Simeonite. He's not a Simeonite, but his children are now Simeonites because his uncle is now my brother. Is my brother is his uncle. You understand what I'm saying? And it goes on to show you in 25 that the uncle could buy that servant out of out of servitude before the jubilee comes.
All
So it
right.
applies. I'm saying that it applies to both the sojourning genetic born Israelite, mother and father are both from the same tribe, Israelite, and it applies to the one who's mixed, and it also applies to the one who is not even an Israelite.
Bro, I'm not gonna lie. It doesn't make sense because our economy is based, first of all, off of the father. There's no mixing because that causes confusion, right? Which is why, for example, the father's name carries your tribe, it carries what your inheritance is going to be. And that's how we pass down property from generation to generation. So
Mhm.
certain heathen are going to be reckoned among certain tribes, but they're still going to be reckoned as heathen because we keep track of who property is what. It's important because this is how we maintained our society.
Right.
I don't understand the concept of
Oh shit.
mixing.
Whoa, whoa, whoa. Hold on, brother. Hold on. 1 second. Stop screen recording. Okay, hold on. All right, hold on. Let me go back to the joint. You can still hear me, right?
Yep.
Okay. I think what would make this discussion um where we could get a better understanding is if we just um agree to disagree on this particular area and we exegesis 2547 and we see where we both stand on 2547 and we see where you stand and we see where I stand. Because at this point, we already know that we got a different understanding. But we know 2547 is referring to something else, right?
So you want to move on to 47 now.
For sure. For sure.
The redemption of servants.
For sure.
So buying servants back.
Yeah.
All right.
You want me to read it?
Yeah. Because I don't know where you're going to here.
Okay. All right. I'm gonna start at 2546. Just so we can, make sure we on the we got it all lined up. And ye shall take them as an inheritance for your children after you to inherit them for a possession. We both disagree. We disagree on who's being inherited, or well, we do agree who is being inherited, but we disagree on why they are being inherited, right? So it goes on to say, and there's a semicolon right after. So they shall be your bondmen forever, but over your brethren, the children of Israel, ye shall not rule one
Oh,
over another. What
before
happened?
before before you move on, I forgot we need to get this on the open air. Do you possess property?
What do you mean?
Do you inherit property and possess property?
Do you inherit? You mean as a stranger?
No, period. Like you can inherit property, right?
Yeah, the Israelites was given a lot.
Okay. When it says that their families forever as a possession, that means property. So whose property are they? Was it talking about?
That is talking about the specific Israelite.
Okay.
If a Simeonite or a Gadite buys a heathen, that is his property.
Forever,
That
right?
forever, forever,
And,
ever.
and he doesn't have to let him go after he circumcises them,
No, he does not let him go. That is
even,
his property.
even though that servant becomes an Israelite.
I said he becomes a civilian.
Okay.
So let's walk the 2547.
All
And
right.
if it's
I'm with you now.
yeah, and if a sojourner or stranger, yeah. And if a sojourner or stranger wax rich by thee, and thy brother that dwell by him wax poor, and sell himself unto the stranger or sojourner body, or to the stock of the stranger's family. After that he is sold, he may be redeemed again. One of his brethren may redeem him, either his uncle. Hold up, my shit fucked up. Hold up, where we at? For stranger wax rich body, and thy brother that dwell by him wax poor, and sell himself unto the stranger or sojourner body, to the stock of the stranger's family. After that he is sold, he may be redeemed again. One of his brethren may redeem him. Either his uncle's son may redeem him, or any that is not of kin unto him of his family may redeem him. Or if he be able, he may redeem himself. Okay, so what is this? What is this talking about, brother?
It's talking about those same. It's talking about those same servants that can't be counted as bond servants, indentured servitude.
The same servants that can't be counted. So
As
wait,
bond servants, the indentured
so
servants.
so who is the brother? Who is the Israelite selling himself to? They say if a sojourner or stranger wax rich body, who is this stranger that is waxing rich?
So let's look at Jacob, for example. He went into indentured servitude. Essentially, that was family. That was his uncle. He was serving him for a certain amount of time. He waxed rich by his uncle. If what his choice was if he was serving for a debt, he could pay off that debt by what he gained while in that servitude. So that's pretty much the same principle being established here. Remember,
Mm,
it says, if your brother be fallen poor, or waxing poor and falleth in decay with thee, then thou shalt relieve him. So the whole way that indentured servitude works is you rack up a certain amount of value. You could be paid directly, or the master could receive of that principal balance and then let you go.
Mm-hmm.
It's on the accord that was struck in the beginning. So
Mm-hmm.
it's just following up on that now. That, say, for example, the family that had to let you go work, say they come up and they're like, we can get you up out of that. That's what it's talking about.
Okay. So you brought up Jacob and Laban, right?
Yep.
That's so you precept that same situation, right? So and Laban was a what was he, a Midianite
He
or
was an
what?
Assyrian. Assyrian.
He was an Assyrian.
No,
So I'm
Syrian. Like
from you said from Syria, right?
right.
Right. So was that didn't Laban love Jacob?
Yep.
So then what is the issue? We see that they are part of the same household, right? We
No.
agree, huh?
No.
So
That's
Jacob wasn't a part. Wait, hold on.
that's
Let me just
that's
make
not
sure I
what
remember. Hold on,
that's
hold
not
on, hold on. 1 second, Osh. One
you,
second, 1 second.
you don't remember.
Laban gave Jacob his daughters, right?
Right.
Okay. Go ahead. I'm listening.
So they're not a part of the same household because Jacob's father was not Laban's relative. His mom's relative was Laban. So the only thing I'm establishing is that that's the similar type of servitude,
For sure.
indentured servitude. It's not
Okay.
a it's not a demand globally that if you serve somebody, you have to be an indentured servitude if it's your own brother, or even more so that you have to be a bondman if you're serving somebody who, say, for example, is Chinese. I'm just giving you an example of what indentured servitude looks like by practical means, just by looking at Jacob and Laban's situation. That's all I'm saying. And so, with that indentured servitude, he gained wages as well as the goal that he set out to meet, which was to marry his daughter.
Okay. So would you agree that we as Israelites are not supposed to put a stranger above us?
Right.
So how does that apply with this text? If how does that make sense if this is someone that is not of the household?
What are you talking about? You talking about 47 still?
Yeah, 47.
I didn't say that it's not somebody of the household. I'm saying it's an Israelite. And I'm saying it's the same context of the person that we read about earlier, reading in verse 39, where it's talking about indentured servitude there, your brother. So it's talking about a brother. Remember, Leviticus 25 and 39. And if your brother that dwelleth by thee be waxen poor and be sold unto thee, thou shalt not compel him to serve as a slave.
Right.
Right? Skipping down to verse 47, it's talking about the same brother because it says you're supposed to deal with him as a sojourner. So it says, verse 47, if a sojourner or a stranger wax rich by thee, and thy
So
brother,
somebody of a different tribes, right?
it could be somebody of the same tribe too. It just says, and if a
And
sojourner,
how does that logically exclude this passage from being the heathen? How does that exclude it?
because
How
it's
does it
talking about
exclude that concept?
indentured servitude still. And if a sojourner or stranger wax rich by thee, and thy brother that dwelleth by him wax poor, and sell himself unto the stranger or sojourner by thee, or to the stock of the stranger's family, after that he is sold, he may be redeemed again, by one of his brethren that may redeem him, his uncle, or his uncle's son may redeem him, or any that is nigh of kin unto him of his family may be redeemed.
Okay.
May redeem him, or if he was able to, that he may redeem himself, and he shall reckon with him that bought him from the year that he
For
was
sure.
sold.
No, I'm
And
with you. I'm with you. I'm with you. We agree. We agree on that. We agree on that.
I gotta finish the text though still. And he shall reckon him that bought him from the year that he was sold to him unto the year of Jubilee.
Right.
So that Jubilee is still talking about indentured servitude.
For sure. And I would say that goes that's twofold. I'm
What do
saying
you
that's
mean
two,
twofold?
huh? I'm
What
saying
you mean it's twofold?
it's twofold for the one that you buying, that you buy from the heathen, and and it's another fold for the brother that is um of a different tribe.
So you got to let them go on the year of Jubilee.
You got to let them go back to their possession.
The heathen.
The heathen goes back to the person that possesses him.
A,
If he's the highest, huh?
a possession is not somebody that possesses them. That's a possessor. So it doesn't say you go back to your possessor. It says you go back to your property. If we're just gonna talk in modern terms, it says you go back to your property.
No,
Property
it says
doesn't.
possession. It says go back to the possession, and it says go back to your family.
That's why I said in modern terms it says property. That's why I talked about the definition earlier of the word possession. That word possession means property. It's the Hebrew word akuzah. It
Right.
means property. So it doesn't say go back to who possesses you. It says go back to your property. So that's not saying what you're saying.
But wouldn't that ultimately mean that
No, no, not at all. It means you go back to your property, which means he would have to have a land inheritance, a property amongst the children of Israel. The whole purpose of it is if, say, for example, he can't pay his wages, then it's levied. It's levied until he can do some work substantial enough to make up the debt that's been incurred and apply it towards that debt once it's been worked off, whether it be a front of the money or it be the person he's working for giving him some wages for his servitude so he can get back paid off, or a family member coming, or the year of Jubilee. But it's not talking about them going back to their
Hey, are you
master.
getting us? Are you getting any feedback?
It do sound different, like you distant or something like that, like it's on speakerphone and the phone far away.
Okay, hold on.
Now it sounds, now it sounds,
all right. Continue, brother.
now that was pretty much it. It doesn't say go back to your possessor. It says go back to your possession, which means property. Which is why earlier when I was reading 45, where it says that the strangers are supposed to be your property forever, and that their children will be your property forever. That goes against what you were saying about them being essentially Israelites.
Okay.
Israel Israelites
Okay.
can't be property forever. They have to be redeemed or they have to be let go at the year of Jubilee. But the Gentiles can be owned forever.
So would you say that the only would you say that when it tells us that you're not supposed to practice rigor on a brother, right? But then it says the ones that it says you're not supposed to practice rigor and make him a bondservant. Then it continues to say the ones you can make a bondservant is from the heathen. Would you equate those two together and apply that in a sense that now it's telling us that it's making an implication that the ones you can practice rigor on is of the bondmen.
Yeah.
So do you have a precept for that?
I'm just looking at the contrast here.
Nah, brother, we
Because
gotta I need a precept, brother. I need a
I don't
precept,
I
brother.
don't I don't need a precept in order to look at the contrast because it's also defining the rigor. It's talking about possessing them forever and making them be slaves.
But we know when you go to Deuteronomy, and I don't have my I'm driving right now, so if you could pull up the scripture in Deuteronomy where it says, yo, you could practice usury on a bondman. We
Why
know
am I
that,
looking?
or no, it says you could practice usury on a stranger, right? That usury on that stranger is one who is not of Israel. We know
Right.
that the Nakar is one who is, he ain't been bought, he ain't been circumcised. He just somebody that is what do they call it? A mercenary, one that is just doing business, coming in and out. You know what I'm saying? So that is the only time we see another situation where usury is being implied within the scriptures, unless there's something else that you can tell me where it's literally saying practice rigor on your servant. Then I don't see how that holds any water, that the bond servant that you bought is one that you could practice usury on, brother. And another point to make too is, if it's telling you to look out for the fatherless, how does that go into the logic of what you guys teach, to where one is an Israelite through his father's lineage? So if it's telling you to look out for the fatherless, this person can't be an Israelite, or is he an Israelite?
That's not talking about women who just finger bang babies into their womb. That's talking about brothers whose fathers may have died, whether
But
in
you, uh-huh.
battle or disease. So it's not a contradiction. It just means if they don't got a dad to watch over them, you watch over them.
But fatherless would literally mean that they don't have no recollection.
No, it don't mean that. It just means they don't have a dad.
Well, see, now we speculating, because neither one of us have a precept to back either one of our points.
Brother, how does somebody become fatherless?
They could be an orphan.
Okay. How, and the orphan can happen many ways, right?
For sure.
Usually when a baby is born in the land, it's reckoned right then and there whose daddy is. But let's just say,
That's
just
not
for example,
that's
like
not normal, bro. Come on.
what's not normal.
A lot of the times they don't know who their father or their mother is, man.
You're saying a lot of times they don't. I'm talking about Israelite tradition. We recorded this stuff diligently because everything depended on it. So we would document who the father is. I'm saying, just say, for example, we're talking about those brothers who said they was from the tribe of Reuben. They simply wasn't the tribe
You breaking up, bro. You breaking up. You kind of dropped out.
of. Okay. So looking at the word fatherless, we'll just simplify it.
I'm listening.
The word yatum, orphan, right? You said they can be an orphan. What I said is being orphaned can happen many ways. Nonetheless, you have to have a dad. And what would happen is we would document very diligently whose child who was. Records usually would have to be lost, like burned or something like that, destroyed, in order for us to not know who somebody's dad was, know whether or not they were Israel.
I mean, that's that's cool to make that implication, but you can't prove that though, bro.
All right. Well, I'm sure that if you take time and read about it, you can see that this is something that is Israelite tradition. It would be more of a rarity that we don't document whose child who is. That's
I mean,
perfectly fine.
I would love to hear a scripture to back that claim, but like I said, you can't just say, oh, because I don't know what you're talking about, doesn't mean that what you're saying is true. We having a discussion, brother. Like, where's the scriptures at? Like, you telling me to go back and do some research. We talking right now, big bro.
I say you basically what I'm saying is that you could even look extra biblically and you can see that that's how these reckonings are
Okay, but show me though.
done. All right.
Because for you to just tell me that don't mean that you right.
Let's see.
Hey, and Oz,
God,
yo, Oz, I wanna tell you, hey man, big shalom for the way that you handle your discussions, cause yo, big piece for that, bro. Cause I seen the way how you was talking to vocab, and he just jumped out the window, and I could see there's a consistent spirit that you got on you, brother. So again, I appreciate you, man. Double honors to you, brother.
I appreciate that. Shalom to you as well. Shit. Hold on real quick. Why am I not finding this shit? This is crazy.
Mm. Let me see if I can find this scripture. Hold up.
Okay, so Ezra chapter 2 is what I'm
Oh, I know where you about to go. You about to show me the oracles.
I don't know about that. This is Ezra 2 and 62. Actually, I'll just start at children of the priest, the children of Abiah, the children of Koz, the children of Barzillai, daughters of
Damn.
Gilead,
Yo,
and with
yo, your joint is choppy right now, man. It's choppy. Hold on. Let me get in a better area. Hold up. All right, try that one more time, man.
so this is Ezra 2 and 61. It says, and the children of the priest, the children of Abiah, the children of Koz, the children of Barzillai, which took a wife of the daughters of Barzillai, the Gileadite, and was called after their name. These sought their register among those that were reckoned by genealogy, but they were not found. Therefore were they as polluted and put from the priesthood. So essentially what this is saying is that people saw them around hanging amongst the Israelites, but they couldn't prove their house by looking in the register. So what it's showing you is that Israelites may not have it documenting their family, documenting the children that was had in one house, a document that was kept around in Chronicles is meant to reflect that. But I
But
didn't
it
want to just take a cheap shot and say, well, the whole book of Chronicles, but just showing you something that's a little bit more day to day and how the Chronicles might have been used. They would keep that information updated so that there would be a register because, again, that's how the economy moved forward. And that's how we made sure that we wasn't giving out inheritance to the wrong tribes or people of other nations. And that's why I said it was a rarity that somebody wouldn't actually have it recorded whose father they came
well, I mean, if we put things into perspective, we know that we was in the wilderness when we got these laws, right? We would agree
Mhm.
that, right?
Yeah.
And then we finally get into the land, right? And
Yep.
before we get to the land, we dealing, and this is ultimately how the rest of the nations became judged. We got to see the type of spirit that, our ultimately our what's it called, our supposed to be allies, how they was dealing with us, right? And
What are you talking about? I don't know if you're still there.
yeah, I'm right here. You can hear me?
You said something about how our allies was dealing with us, and I said, "Who are you talking about?"
I'm saying the in the wilderness we see that there's a type of I guess you would say, like, Yahweh was giving the nations a chance, right? But we know that all of this is within Yahweh's glory and his story. We know that he is the potter. You know what I'm saying? That forms the clay. We know he formed Esau to be the wicked. We know he formed Jacob to be the promise, right? So I'm making the point that regardless of how he formed each and every nation, before it happened, or I guess in real time, when we remove ourselves from the eyes of Yahweh and we look at things from a realistic, you know what I'm saying, and on the physical realm, right? We see that Yahweh gave an opportunity to Pharaoh, but he hardened his heart, right? And that hardening of his heart doesn't specifically mean, well, I guess it does. I guess you would say that he literally did harden his heart, but he also gave him the opportunity. He it was for Moses to tell him, like, yo, bro, let my people go, right? So he gave him on the physical realm, he gave him that opportunity. The same with when we go when we see with Esau, and he was supposed to, let us get into the land, let us cross through. He didn't want to let us cross through, and so on and so forth when it comes to the nations. So we know that these laws concerning the stranger, you know, we know that we were doing business with each other,
Right.
right? So it's kind of obvious that we're using these different strength. We're buying from these people. That's
Right.
that's really the point that I'm trying to make, is that we're dealing with the strangers. We're doing business. We're all surrounded around each other. We see the Gibeonites. They become not a part of the nation, but they are forgiven, and they have they get a pass. So we
Yeah, they
see
get a
these
pass.
things to where, huh?
I said, "What you mean they get a pass?"
They got a pass. You know what I'm saying? Didn't the Gibeonites, if I remember correct, I ain't got my notes in front of me right now. Gibeon, right? And Gibeon, he was like, yo, we'll do anything, we'll serve you, basically. And David let them serve him. I'm just
Like,
trying to make the ultimate point that,
okay, go ahead.
huh?
I said, "Go ahead." I was gonna ask you a
I'm
question,
just,
but
yeah, I'm just making the point that we doing business with all the nations. So it would be kind of obvious that we supposed to deal with them a certain way. You know what I mean? If we came out of Egypt, and it tell you that rigor was practiced on us, and then it tell you not to practice rigor, how is that all of a sudden mean that we supposed to just practice rigor on any and everybody? Like, we supposed to be a different type of people. We supposed to be a better example. You know what I'm
but
saying? Especially
you gonna
towards
say
those who are fatherless and they are orphaned. You know what I'm saying? Or they are ones who are brought into the community, brought into the congregation.
the
So
scriptures
that's,
don't say
yeah.
to to treat everybody with rigor. If brothers don't teach that, it says treat everybody with rigor. All we're saying is that the Bible says that we're supposed to make sure we're not treating Israelites with rigor,
Yeah,
and that's the
but
fact
then
of the matter.
yeah,
So the contrast is that if there's anybody you're not supposed to treat with rigor, it's an Israelite.
right. And I mean, we just gonna have to agree to disagree because
I mean, it
like
says don't treat an Israelite with rigor, right?
yeah, but we just went through the whole 25 and it was like, you know what I
But
mean? We just couldn't,
we don't
we couldn't
disagree
find a
about
common
rigor,
ground.
though.
I think the
It
only
says
thing we
don't treat.
did it,
It says don't treat an Israelite with rigor. You and I both agree on that.
but I'm saying that the Israelite is one that's a part of your is a heathen that an Israelite just bought. So now that Israelite, when they say Israelite, don't treat your brother with rigor. That person you just bought is your brother. He's a
Can
part of
you
the house of Israel.
can you possess an Israelite forever?
Come on, Ash, you asked me that already.
I know. Can you own an Israelite as property forever?
No.
So you gotta. That's called look. It's called cognitive dissonance, and you are the one that's gonna have to deal with that. You gotta reconcile that. Either you can own an Israelite forever, or you can't. And if you can, what you're saying makes sense. If you can't, it don't make sense.
Well, it makes sense in the context that I told you, though.
I mean, but you're making that context up
I'm
because
not
you
though.
want
How am I making that up? How am I
because
making that
look,
up when the guard actually means someone that's a servant and someone
guard
that
doesn't
joins
mean
himself
servant.
to the house of Israel? We see that with Isaiah 14:1, that the
Guard,
guard is going to
guard
cleave
doesn't
himself.
mean that. It says that they can do that. But look, here's what's being missed. It's like there's prerogative, right? And prerogative can never supersede the laws of God. Let me break it down. It's my prerogative how I'm gonna treat my slave, and my prerogative how I'm gonna treat my brother, as long as I'm not treating them less than I'm treating myself. Why? Because the commandment says I'm supposed to love my brother as I love myself. My prerogative, how I'm gonna treat my servant, is how I'm gonna treat my servant. And there are no parameters with which you can say, oh, you can't do that to your servant, because the Bible doesn't give those stipulations. But here's the thing.
It
If
does though. You
I'm
know what?
wise,
It
but
does though.
let me finish. Here's the thing. If I'm wise, I'm gonna want to preserve the life of my slave. If I spend money on this slave, I'm gonna want to preserve him. I'm gonna want to keep him alive, keep him fed so he can work optimally. That doesn't mean that all of a sudden, oh, he's my brother now. Otherwise, I cannot possess him forever. Otherwise, he cannot eat of those same scraps that I would feed any other heathen. Otherwise, I can't practice usury on him.
Ah,
And,
man.
what you're saying is that if you circumcise the servant, basically, once he becomes your servant, he's not your servant. You have to
No, no.
circumcise
It
the
means
servant.
that he's now renewed. He's
Nah,
bought. He's redeemed. It means that
that's
he's redeemed.
that's made up, bro. Once you buy a servant, you're supposed to circumcise him before you bring him into your house.
Right.
So basically, what you're saying, if we add that together, is that once you buy a servant, he can't be your servant, and that's a
That's
contradiction.
no, no,
And
not.
you're
That's what.
not
Yes.
saying you're trying
No,
to
that's
make
what.
it, but you're juggling things that ought not be juggled,
No,
and you
that's
have
what.
to face the
That's how
cognitive.
you. That's how you're determining it, though. That's not what the text is telling
I'm
us.
determining it because the word truth comes from the word amah, which is where we get math from. And if I'm to subtract these things and add these things together to get the truth, what you're saying is this: you're saying you cannot possess an Israelite forever, right? But the text says you can possess a heathen forever. So if what you're saying is true, I have to subtract the idea that I could possess him forever away from that. It doesn't add up
It
when you.
does in the sense that if you're buying this person, now he is redeemed from his his past slavery. Israel is supposed to be a people who were different. They were
When,
peculiar. They, hold
nah,
on, let me finish because you went on for a little hot
when
minute.
somebody goes into slavery, you circumcise them, and then you pass them down from generation to generation, and you even own their children. That's what you're missing. There's
Yeah,
no way around that, and you can't do that to an Israelite. So just
of
because
course you can't do that to an Israelite because that Israelite has his rightful tribe. But when you possessing somebody, now they are part of your tribe, and
but
you
you
can
can't
use their children as your possession. Now those children are Israelites, but
nah.
that
They
so
live in
wait,
Israel.
So she
They're
saying
inhabitants of
she
Israel, but they're not Israelite. Israelite means descendant of Jacob. That's all that means. So yes, they become citizens. They have to keep the Torah. That doesn't make them equal with Israelites. It never will be that.
okay, so with she saying serving the Egyptian, was he an actual Egyptian brother?
Let me see. What are you talking about? Sheshan in Chronicles?
Believe so. She
Let me
Shan she Shan had a servant named Jarhar.
see. Hold on real quick.
The Egyptian servant named Jarhar. I believe it's Jar uh Har.
It says Sheshan had a servant, an Egyptian whose name was Jarha. What are you saying about him?
So I'm saying Jarhar. I'm saying is he an Egypt? Is this brother an Egyptian or is he an Israelite? Was he a stranger? Was he someone that was fatherless, like you said with I believe it was Ezra that you brought out? Is this the same circumstance with Jarhar, or is Jarhar literally an Egyptian?
Nah.
Nah, what?
It looks like he was a actual servant.
Right, brother.
What does
That's
that
the
have
point.
to do with anything?
It has to do with the fact that when you possess somebody and you possess their children after you, now you can use these children as a part of your household,
What
which
what
Jarhar is showing you that. It's
what
showing you that now Jarhar had children with Sheshan's daughter, and
what
now those children was a part of the lineage of Judah.
what you can do and what you should do and what you're not supposed to do are different things, brother. And so if
And
you're going
that's
to
why,
show,
yeah, and that's why I brought up the guard earlier, the joint, the verse with the food that dies of itself.
and
You
we're not,
going right, and that's why I brought that up. You going
we're,
right back to it.
but we're not talking about that because here's the problem. Are you supposed to do what this brother did?
Yeah,
It
yeah,
says it says now Sheshan had no sons, right?
yeah.
Are you supposed to marry your daughter to a stranger if you don't have any sons?
Are you supposed to? And if you can, are two different things, though, brother. Just like I said with the food that dies of itself, you're not supposed to,
I'm
but
talking
you
about
can.
according
You
to
can
God.
eat it. Hold on, but let me finish, though, bro. Let me finish. You can eat the food that dies of itself as long as you clean yourself after you eat it, right? So even with this same situation, no, we wasn't supposed to mix, but you can if now this person has been circumcised and was bought with your money. He is now a part of your household. And we literally see, I'm not making it up. We literally seeing it right there. Like
So
you feel me, bro? Like I'm not making this shit up. I'm not just adding shit to the scriptures. I'm trying to find some understanding. And it's like, okay, why do I see an Egyptian servant and his children being a part of Israel when it's supposed to go through the father's lineage?
I'm
And we and
asking you,
and
I'm
that's I mean
asking
that's
you
one.
something
But
very
hold on,
specific, bro,
hold
and
on.
you're
Okay, go
derailing
ahead.
my
Go
point.
ahead. Go ahead. Go ahead. Go ahead.
I'm saying, does God happy about what happened with that?
Is he happy?
Mm-hmm.
What type of question
Does he
is that,
does he
yo?
does he like what he did? Did God say don't do what that brother decided to do?
Does it tell us that we could go into an enemy's land and marry a wife?
No, brother. I'm talking very specifically about if you have a daughter and you have no sons, are you supposed to marry them off to a stranger?
If they're part of your household, they're part of your household. Yeah, that's it. Was he was in legislation. He didn't do anything that was illegal. That person is his possession. Jarhar was his possession. He could do whatever he want. Now he is a part of Judah.
All right. So look, this is Numbers
Not
20.
his, but let me just make this clear though.
Nah,
Not
real
his.
quick. I'm about to
Okay,
read the
go ahead.
Bible real quick because I asked you there for a reason. So Numbers 26 and 33 is where we're gonna start. And Zelophehad, you were familiar with Zelophehad?
Yep, yep.
The son of Heifer had no sons but daughters. And the names of the daughters of Zelophehad were Mala, Noah, Hogla, Milcah, Tisra. These are the families of Manasseh, and those that were numbered of them 52,007. These are the sons of Ephraim and their families. So we're not gonna stop there. We're gonna go back into Zelophehad, right? We're gonna read about him a little bit more. Oh, Numbers 27 and 1 now. It says, Then came the daughters of Zelophehad, the son of Hefer, the son of Gilead, the son of Machir, the son of Manasseh of their families, and Manasseh the son of Joseph. And these are the names of his daughters, Mala, Noah, and Hogah, and Milcah, and Tisra. Now we're going to read about the whole ordeal with them because he didn't have no sons, right? You following me?
Come on.
Okay. It says, and they stood before Moses and before Eleazar the priest and before the princes and all the congregation by the door of the tabernacle of the congregation, saying, Our father died in the wilderness, and he was not in the company of them that gathered themselves together against the Lord in the company of Korah, but died in his own sin and had no sons. Why should the name of our father be done away from among his family, because he have no son? Give unto us, therefore, in possession among the brethren of our fathers. And Moses brought their cause before the Lord. And the Lord spake unto Moses, saying, The daughters of Zelophehad speak aright. Thou shalt surely give them a possession of an inheritance among their father's brethren, and thou shalt cause the inheritance of their father to pass unto them. And thou shalt speak unto the children of Israel, saying, If a man die and have no son, then shall ye cause his inheritance to pass to his daughter. And if he have no daughter, then ye shall give his inheritance unto his brethren. And if he have no brethren, then ye shall give his inheritance unto his father's brethren. And if his fathers have no brethren, then ye shall give his inheritance unto his kinsman that is next to him, and on and on. It says, until you basically just get back to a distant relative. But the point that I'm making, because I'm not adopting your ideology fully that, oh, the servant was there and now he's reckoned among Judah and you can pass the inheritance off, because God says not to let the inheritance pass from tribe to tribe. So what you got to look at is that the brother did something. That don't mean that, oh, that's what the law is all about. It just is a record of what happened. The same way it talks about adultery in the Bible being committed, it don't mean that, oh, see, that's what it's all about. You're supposed to commit adultery. We're supposed to sustain our tribe, and we're supposed to sustain our lineage, and we're supposed to sustain that possession of that tribe by giving land and inheritance to the tribe that it belongs to. That don't happen if say for example some heathen come from out of nowhere and is now inheriting land that another Israelite can't inherit. You're saying, and I'm just making sure I understand that, oh, he's with the tribe though because he's reckoned among the tribe. If that's your logic, hey, we do agree to disagree, but that presents a problem within itself.
Right.
Do you see the correlation there?
Nah, I hear you. I definitely hear you, and I get where you're coming from. But and I struggled with this concept for a while. but I'm starting to see things a lot more differently because, as I stated earlier, and that's the main reason why I brought up the whole double-edged sword, the dealing with food that dies of itself. One minute we not supposed to eat it, the next minute we can eat it, and there's these stipulations to where you can apply the legislation, you know what I'm saying, into a certain and particular situation, to where now you would be within the legislation and you would be still within your righteousness, right? Because once you eat something that dies of itself and you clean yourself, now you are within your righteousness, right? You are still within yourself, and you are within the legislation. You haven't broke any laws. You won't be cut off, right? So I bring that up to say the issue that y'all have or you have to deal with at this point, right? Because we done went a whole nother place, right? We turning a lot of pages right now. Now what you would have to deal with, and what you have to combat now, is why is it okay for us to go into an enemy's land and make a wife, make a wife of one who is our enemy, but on the other hand, it tells us do not make, marriages with people outside of your tribe. How is that a contradiction, or is there, how do you exegesis that?
I would say I would say just all virtue, you're overgeneralizing it because it doesn't say don't make marriage with anybody outside of your tribe. It says one in terms of not supposed to marry any certain people. Deuteronomy chapter 7, 1 through 6 says we're not supposed to marry the 7 nations of Canaan. That's one. Number two, a man taking wives doesn't have anything to do with inheritance passing from tribe to tribe, because a man dictates the tribe. So there's no contradiction there as long as we're not marrying those 7 nations of Canaan. So it just is self-explanatory, really, within the laws themselves.
So, okay, you saying so we are allowed to marry into the Edomites. We are allowed to marry into the Moabites.
Yeah, the law don't say we can't do it. When it comes to prerogative and wisdom, that's the discussion to be had. So you can't say a brother sinned for marrying a Moabite. You could just say, hey, that's not the smartest thing to do. But before we get any farther, I wanted to read this real quick. Numbers 36 and 8. It says, I'm going to start at 7 actually. So shall not the inheritance of the children of Israel remove from tribe to tribe, for every one of the children of Israel shall keep himself to the inheritance of the
Yo,
tribe of Israel.
hold on 1 second, bro. Hold on 1 second.
Uh,
All right. Go ahead, brother. I'm listening.
all right. So this is Numbers 36 and 7, because I didn't want to get too far before I brought this out. It says, so shall not the inheritance of the children of Israel remove from tribe to tribe, for every
Right.
one of the children of Israel shall keep himself to the inheritance of the tribe of his fathers. And every daughter that possesseth an inheritance in any tribe of the children of Israel, speaking about the situation which happened with the sisters from the tribe of Manasseh, they are the ones that this precedent comes from. That's why I brought them up earlier.
Yeah,
It
but
was
you just cut yourself.
no, I didn't yet. I didn't even get to the point yet, so you can't say that. So the reason that I brought that up is to show you that there's a precedent for that discussion needing to be had, and there's a law that is based on that subject matter. So I wanted to show you what the law is about that subject matter, so that when we go back to talking about Shikshan, say for example, if for any reason I'm wrong and that's not an actual Egyptian, that brother is wrong because the law says you're not supposed to do what he did. That's why I said, is God okay with what that brother did? So Numbers 36:8. And every daughter that possesseth an inheritance, because if a man has no sons, then inheritance goes to those daughters, right?
Mm-hmm.
Now, this is what the daughters are supposed to do. This is who they're supposed to be married to. And every daughter that possesseth an inheritance in any tribe of the children of Israel shall be wife unto one of the family of the tribe of her father, that the
Right.
children of Israel may enjoy every man the inheritance of his father.
Right.
Neither shall the inheritance remove from one tribe to another tribe, but every one of the tribes of the children of Israel shall keep himself to his own inheritance. And that's circling back to Zelophehad. Says, even as the Lord commanded Moses, so did the daughters of Zelophehad. So I wouldn't even say that it's a right thing just because it's written in the book. You got to analyze if it's being prescribed or if it's just being recorded. And at this time, it would have been practical for him to record it because it happened and it was essential.
To record what?
I'm talking about how it's chronicled. It's written in the Bible. The word Bible meaning records is in there for a practical reason because that's how we
Oh, got
maintain
you.
society, thorough record keeping. So I wouldn't say that it was right just because it was there, nor would I look at it as a way to look at the law and say, so that means that they become equal with us. Because even when it comes to land allotments, even though a fellow Israelite, if he's a Judite and I'm an Ephraimite, the law still says that the inheritance is not supposed to remove from tribe to tribe. So now I'm gonna jump out the window and say that, but it could go to a heathen though. Is crazy to me. So, but what were you saying? I cut myself at.
Okay. Hold on, bro. Let me walk up in this gas station real quick. Give me 1 second, bro.
All right, I'm gonna go in a little bit. So I just want to
For
know what
sure.
happened.
For sure. All I need is like 10 more minutes.
All right.
Yeah. You still there, bro?
Good.
Hold up. You got it? No, I'm good. Appreciate it. All right. So, mind if I get a shot? 1 second, bro. I didn't understand the words you just said. I did. Huh? Sure. What you want me to hold it? One more for my boss. One more for my boss. What is this again? Okay. Thank you, Mama. All right, bro. So I said you cut yourself because what's it called? You just showed that the tribe not supposed to pass. It's supposed to stay within the tribe. Right?
Right.
You agree on that, right? This
Right.
is this is exhibiting and telling us for sure through these daughters. Through Zillipot is the father, right?
Zillified would be the father. Yeah.
Right. So we seeing that when this happened, Moses went back to the Most High to get this legislation, right?
Mm-hmm.
That's how the text reads. He went back to the Most High, and we constantly see this to where the Most High had to give him more understanding because we continuously have these situations, right? So we see that this is an example of us not supposed to mix once again. Go and it that's even a precept for Leviticus 25, because it's telling us that once the Jubilee comes, you're supposed to go back to your rightful inheritance, because we don't want none of that cross contamination, like you stated earlier, right? So I say that because now you still have to deal with the fact that an Israelite man, and I know you said that it don't matter if the Israelite man goes into another woman of another nation, but it's literally telling us right here that a man is supposed to stay within his rightful tribe.
I don't. I still don't get how I cut myself.
What's that?
I said I still don't get how I cut myself.
Bec- the point is that you still have to deal with the fact that we can go into these other nations and we
You cut out.
supposed to mix with other women,
You said
right?
we have to deal with the fact that we can go into the other nations and what?
Come again?
You said I still have to deal with the fact that we could go into these other nations.
But it's literally telling us.
It's literally telling us that you're supposed to keep your tribe within your rightful tribe. So Judah's supposed to be with Judah, right?
That's talking about their inheritance. So the reason that this is relevant with regards to daughters is because the sons are the ones that would traditionally continue the inheritance, right? But if a man has no sons, the inheritance has to go to the daughters. And when the inheritance goes to the daughters, she's now locked into where she can only marry somebody from that same. That's how that goes. It's not saying that every Ephraimite can only marry Ephraimites. It's not saying every Judite can only marry Judites. And it's not saying Israelites can only marry Israelites. It's talking about how a daughter, if she's like the designated survivor of the family, basically, that man's inheritance, if she married outside of the tribe, it would go to the tribe that she's marrying to, because the man is the steward of the inheritance. Instead of a man from another tribe inheriting what belongs to the tribe of Judah, for example, the Ephraimite sister, because she doesn't have brothers to manage that property, she's stuck. I can't just marry whoever I want for Israel. I have to hold it down for Ephraim and marry an Ephraimite. So I think that's like the inheritance isn't going to pass to another nation if a man marries a woman from another nation. It don't make sense because the man is the inheritance belongs to the man. And when there's children that are begotten of that man, whether they be boy or girl, the inheritance is going to go to him.
Hey, watch this though. You familiar with the Levite daughter, right?
Yep.
You familiar with that verse where it say if she
She
married,
can't eat of the sacrifices once she marries because she has a place to eat.
right?
Levites don't have a land inheritance though.
They do have a inheritance, but
They don't
and
have a
it's
land
within the
inheritance in particular. They got suburbs that are scattered.
right, right. They
So,
got suburbs, so they
but they're
do have
scattered
an
throughout all
inheritance.
tribes though. So I don't get what like now this is further from what we're talking about.
Because I'm trying to show you that the woman, that the daughter, her place is just as important, and her tribe is just as important as the man's tribe is. Now I understand you saying that the inheritance doesn't change, being that a man carries that inheritance, right? But when we go to Leviticus with the with the Levite with the Levite daughter,
Uh,
she is she can't eat if she marries of another nation, right? If she and to me it sounds like if she marries one who is a heathen, and obviously it has to be under the law. So one who is of the heathen that is bought, and also as well as someone that is not a Levite, right? So we
You losing me.
that means,
Can
huh?
you? I say you losing me. Can you kind of like start again and kind of condense this?
I mean, I guess where it all ends, where this, you know what I'm saying, where this all comes down to is the fact that the inheritance starts with the father, right? But
Uh,
I right, but I still see that there's an issue because it's telling us not to mix, and that
where is it saying not to mix? And where does the priest's daughter have anything to do with that statement? Like, why are you mixing those two things?
let's get away from the daughter. We'll go back to the fact that Moab's not supposed to be in the congregation. The fact that Edom's not supposed to be in the congregation until it's what? It's third generation.
What is in the congregation?
In the congregation means that they're making sacrifices. They're making offerings.
Okay.
Uh yeah, they're making offerings.
What does that have to do with mixing?
I mean, you tell me because you just said that an Israelite man can sleep with anyone from the nations as long as it's not from the seven, as long as
Uh-huh.
it's not from the Canaanites.
Right. But what does
So,
that have to do with what does mixing and not making sacrifices have to do with each other? Like there must be something deeper to it. And so I'm trying to see if I could get you to offer that up so I can understand you further.
well, the point is that the possession of a heathen ends and begins with who he is bought from, right? And I'm gonna keep it a whole hundred with you. I don't got it all mapped out right now. You understand? I can't answer all questions, brother, but I just see that there's issues with the scriptures. You know what I'm saying? So yeah, I will yield. You know what I'm saying at this moment. You know what I mean? If we can't go any further, but I will yield and say that I can't give you a yes or no or give you further understanding on my position because I feel like there's more that needs to be understood. But I guess the point that I'm making and how I would assert myself in this discussion is that it still doesn't make sense that an Israelite man can sleep with whoever he wants, but the Israelite daughter, and when she does it, and it's specifically dealing with Shishan, now it's looked at as something that is breaking legislation.
Because the legislation says that a woman is not supposed to, it says that a tribe is not supposed to, or the inheritance of a tribe is not supposed to pass on. I'm not saying that is what happened. That's what you're saying. So I'm entertaining that logic. And I'm saying if this book is actually saying that this Egyptian married this woman from the tribes of Israel because now he's an Israelite, you have to now substantiate that, okay, you are from the tribe that buys you, all of that stuff. And if you can't do that, the problem that's at hand is that there's a law that says that you cannot pass the inheritance from tribe to tribe. So that's why there's a problem when that daughter does that, because it's the same situation where the dude had no sons, and so he decided to give his daughter to some Egyptian. It clearly calls him an Egyptian. It doesn't say an Israelite.
It
So
says it was his servant, though, brother. We can't just
it says
gloss
it,
over the fact that it says
nonetheless,
it was his servant.
but
So that
nonetheless,
ultimately means that he
you
was
said
circumcised and he was bought.
you just said you don't have all the answers. So now I'm going to I look. I'm going to confidently say that I understand this subject thoroughly. And until I see something substantial, I'm not going to change my stance on it. The issue, the conflict is that the inheritance is not supposed to pass from the tribe that it belongs to. So
Okay.
he's reckoned as an Egyptian. He's an Egyptian, says the document. If he marries her and now he becomes the steward of that inheritance then must belong to Egypt.
No,
Only
that's
according
not what it's saying.
only according to the logic that you are giving, unless you can substantiate that he is from the same tribe as the man that circumcised him. And you have not been able to do that. You've been able to assert that. So there's no contradiction. Simply what it is that the man
So
is the
you want me to show you? You want me to show you how the servant becomes a part of the household?
you. If you're gonna show me he gets circumcised again, we're not doing it. Show me something, because that's how you become a servant. That's how you become a slave. Period. And you're in a loop when it comes to that. You gotta break the cognitive dissonance on that. And then what you're dealing with is you're either gonna possess him forever or you're not, because you're saying he's an Israelite, but the scripture is saying you can possess him forever, and then your children can possess his children, and he got no say so in the matter. So nah, we're not doing that. We've been there, done it. If you got anything else new you want to add, please feel free to do so, brother. I'm about to.
Well, I would just like to make the point that when it's speaking about possessing forever, it is not to say that that is the only importance or the important thing about that verse. The
What's the
important
most
thing
important?
is that the important part about that verse in Leviticus 25, where it says you will possess this person forever. The important part is that when you buy him, you are supposed to treat him as one who was natively born.
Where does it say that?
It says that there's one law for the native and one law for one that is bought with your money.
What about the law that says they can eat anything that is killed of itself, but we can't?
And again, brother, that's just something that we just gonna have to I'm gonna have to gracefully bow out and say, hey, good discussion, because it literally tells us that Israel can eat something that dies of itself.
No, it doesn't.
As long as he cleans himself once he eats it.
It doesn't say that. It says it's off, and it says, and if you do it, you're supposed to wash yourself after.
Right. I just said that.
No, you said he says he can do it as long as he washes himself after. I said it says don't do it, and it's off. And if you wash yourself, if you eat it, you're supposed to wash yourself after. That's two different things.
Okay, that's fine.
But all it means when it says there's one law for the stranger and one law for the Israelite means that there's not two different books to crack open and look at what we're calling legislation for this conversation. It's a theocracy, and the theocracy is based off of what Theos says, what God says, and God says one thing about the stranger and another thing about the homeborn. And so that doesn't mean that they're treated the same. It just means we got to abide by the same Torah. And the same Torah says that the heathen can eat of something that dies of itself. It says that we can give the heathen usury, and it says we can keep the heathen forever. But it says those things we can't do to an Israelite. So what it means don't mean what you think it means when it says that one law for the stranger and one law for the Israelite. It
So
just
when it say in Deuteronomy 24:14,
Torah when they live in the land.
when it say Deuteronomy 24:14, thou shalt not oppress a hired servant that is poor and needy, whether he be of thy brethren or of thy strangers that are in thy land within thy gates. That's not saying that you're supposed to keep the same law.
Deuteronomy 24 and what?
14.
Hold on. Why the hell is this happening? Because I think you might have just missed what I just broke down to you. Deuteronomy 24 and 14. I'm going to exegete it. Hold on. Deuteronomy 24 and 14. Thou shalt not oppress an hired servant that is poor and needy, whether he be of thy brethren or thy strangers that are in thy land within thy gates.
Exactly.
Is at his day thou shalt give him his hire, neither shalt the sun go down upon it, for he is poor, and setteth his heart upon it, lest he cry against thee unto the Lord, and it be a sin offering. So a hired servant now, we're not even talking about the slaves no more. You realize that, right? Because you don't pay a slave. You can pay an indentured servant. You pay somebody that's coming from outside of the land to work a job and then leaving again. So are we agreeing that um we're not even talking about the same thing no more?
We're talking about the same thing that was going on with Leviticus 25.
This is not talking about the same thing. It says, look, it says you shall not oppress an hired servant. And hired
Right.
servant is not
And
what
that's
we
what I told you earlier, though, Arsh. That's what I told you. I said that the one that you bought with your money from the heathens, they are to be treated like a hired servant, and that he's supposed to go back to his possession. To where we disagree with that. You
bro,
saying that he don't have a possession? I understand
you're
what you're saying,
you're
brother. You say he
you're
don't have a
putting up,
possession.
you're asserting that though. It doesn't say that. It literally says that that is a slave, a
But when
hired
you look
servant,
at the word
somebody else
strength,
is slave,
uh-huh.
which literally mean this is literally what hire means, to receive a wage. You don't possess a hired servant, do you? Do you possess a hired servant?
Nah, you don't.
It says you shall give him his hire, which is his pay. So you don't possess a hired servant, so he's irrelevant to the discussion because we were talking about somebody that you possess forever, somebody that you got to circumcise before you bring them in your house and you pass them down from generation. This is just saying don't be a scumbag and bop people over the head and putting a bad name on Israel when they're coming in working honest jobs. Like when King Solomon had them hewers of wood from out of them Canaanites, he wasn't supposed to be fucking dealing with them. But he was still, he was operating a right in terms of how you deal with another nation. If you're going to make a deal with somebody, then you pay them what they're supposed to be paid. That's all that's talking about. So again, one law for the stranger and one law for the Israelite don't mean that everybody's the same. Because if that's the case, all men that are the same. I mean, all men and women are the same.
Mm.
There's one law for the man and one law for the woman. In that context, it's one Torah. There's not two Torahs. This is the Torah for the Gentiles. This is the Torah for the Israelites.
Wait,
Is
wait, wait. So there's one law for the man and one law for the women.
I'm saying there's one Torah. So that's what I'm saying is that men and women are both the same in the context that you're given, where you say that one law for the heathen and one law for the Israelites mean everybody's the same. I'm saying there's one law for men and one law for women, and that does not mean that men and women are the same. It just means we all keep one Torah, one book of instruction.
I got my notes in front of me right now, bro, and I know you got things to do, but you got to explain to me Isaiah, um, Isaiah 14:4, that thou shalt take up the proverb against the king of Babylon, and say, how has oppressed the oppressor seized the golden city seats. The Lord broke the staff of the wicked and the scepter of the rulers. He who smote the people in wrath with a continual stroke, he that ruled the nations in anger, is persecuted and none hindereth. The whole earth is at rest and is quiet. They break forth into singing. So if we see that this is referring to the nations having a continual stroke, and that nobody is speaking for it, and that everybody else is breaking forth into singing, and they praising this thing because the nations are being held down. Isn't this, like an eye opener to where it's like, okay, maybe this wouldn't be a problem if the king of Babylon wasn't ruling the nations with a continual stroke. So we see that this is implying that God does not want us to treat the nations in rigor. You know what I'm saying? Does that make sense or not?
I get what you're asking. So your question makes sense, and this is how it makes sense. First of all, we can't skip the four, right? We got to deal with all of it, and then what we'll do is just give it connective tissue. So it says the Lord's going to have mercy on Jacob and yet choose Israel and set them in their own land, and the strangers is going to be joined with them, and they shall cleave to the house of Jacob. Isaiah 2 talks about this, or 1. I could be mistaken.
Yeah, Isaiah 14:1.
No, I'm talking about Isaiah the 2nd chapter, or it could be Isaiah the 1st chapter, where it says the law is going to go forth out of Zion.
Okay.
Zechariah 8 talks about this.
Okay.
The book of Micah talks about this.
Okay.
And, Revelation 21 talks about this, where the heathen are going to be learning from the Israelites. The scriptures say that when the righteous are in authority, the people rejoice, and when the wicked bear fruit, the people mourn. But nonetheless, verse 2 says, and the people shall take them and bring them to their place, and the house of Israel shall possess them in the land of the Lord for servants and handmaids, and they shall take them captives, whose captives they were, and shall rule over their oppressors. That word captives does not have a kind connotation to it. The word captive means just that. So we're going to have captives, and the nations are going to receive some type of punishment, where we're going to be the priests of God, and they're going to be our vine dressers, where they're going to have to build up our walls, or they're going to be destroyed. The difference is we're not going to be oppressing people in perpetuity. So it says, and it shall come to pass in that day, the Lord shall give thee rest from all thy sorrow and all thy fear, and from the hard bondage wherein thou was made to serve. And thou shalt take up this proverb against the king of Babylon. It says, thou shalt take up this proverb against the king of Babylon, and say, how has the oppressor ceased, the golden city ceased? The Lord hath broken the staff of the wicked and the scepter of the rulers, who smote the people in wrath with a continual stroke. He that ruled the nations in anger is persecuted, and none hindereth. The whole earth is at rest and is quiet. They break forth into singing. So, too, this is our perspective. That's the second point that I wanted to make about that. But let's just look at it. We cannot escape the judgment just because it's talking about these people ruling in wrath. Ask yourself this: what right did they have to rule in wrath? What wrong was done to them where they ruled in wrath? What wrong were they writing when they were raped, robbing, and murdering, dealing with the fact that the king of Babylon is dealing with the modern day white man? So let me go to we'll stay in Isaiah.
I was just about to say it, because I can easily flip the script and ask you, like I just asked you, why is it important for God to, highlight the fact that, the nations are being dealt with the wrong way, right? And you're asking me the same question, right?
He's saying I'm not asking the question. I'm saying I just said that's going to be our perspective, talking about how the world is better because the Edomite is out of power. But
you're saying that's how you exegesis that properly.
Yeah, because it says we're going to take up that parable. It doesn't say that the other nations are going to take up that parable. It says that that's what we're going to be saying.
So when they start singing, that's actually Israel singing.
Yeah, no, that's us saying that. So it don't necessarily mean that we're going to be observing it. It could be, but essentially what I'm saying is our perspective is going to be that the world is better without the white man dominating over it.
Got you.
Now, Isaiah 63 says this: who is this that cometh from Edom with dyed garments from Basra? This that is glorious in his apparel, traveling in the greatness of his strength. I that speak righteousness, mighty to save. Wherefore art thou red in thine apparel, and thy garments like him that treadeth the wine fat? I have trodden the winepress alone, and of the people there is none with me. Watch this. For I will tread them in mine anger and trample them in my fury, and their blood shall be sprinkled upon my garments, and I will stain all my raiment. For the day of vengeance is in my heart, and the year of my redeemed is come. I looked, and there was none to help me, and I wondered that there was none to uphold. Therefore my own arm brought salvation unto me, and my fury it upheld me. And I will tread down the people in mine anger and make them drunk in my fury, and I will bring down their strength to the earth. I will mention loving kindness. So there's always a contrast there as well. I will mention loving kindness of the Lord and the praises of the Lord according to all that the Lord hath bestowed on us. Who's the us? And the great goodness toward the house of Israel, which he had bestowed on them according to his mercies. Now, backtrack it a little bit because he said, the year of my redeemed is come. Isaiah 61. The Spirit of the Lord God is upon me because the Lord has anointed me to preach good tidings unto the meek. He hath sent me to bind the brokenhearted, to proclaim liberty to the captives and the opening of the prison that are bound, to proclaim the acceptable year of the Lord and the day of vengeance of our God, to comfort all that mourn, to appoint them that mourn in Zion, to give them beauty for ashes. Now I'm going to skip down a little bit. Verse 6. 5, Salakia, it says, strangers shall stand and feed your flocks, and the sons of the alien shall be your plowmen and your vine dressers. But ye shall be named the priests of the Lord. Men shall call you ministers of our God, and ye shall eat the riches of the Gentiles, meaning
Hold
that.
on, hold on. So, hold on. So this right here, and again, I'm gonna keep it funky with you, bro. I ain't got it all mapped out. I know that there's still many things that we still need to decipher, and I respect the fact that you stand firm and you say that you have the full scope. I respect what you're saying. Doesn't mean I have to agree, right? So what was I trying to say? What was the scripture that you just read? Read that back.
So, real quick.
Because I just wanted to. Oh, that's what I was going to ask you. The 144. Are these the elect that are applying the judgment, or is this the entire Israel?
You talking about what part of the judgment are you talking about?
Because you just read that you said that they would be servants, handmaids. Read the last part where you stopped off at.
I'm in Isaiah 61.
Right.
It says,
Read
they
what you
shall
just left
put up
off
the
at.
old waste, and they shall raise up the former desolations, and they shall repair the waste cities, the desolations of many generations, and strangers shall stand and feed your flocks. And
Right.
the sons of the alien shall be your plowmen and your vine dressers,
Right.
and ye shall be named the priests of the Lord. Men shall call you ministers of our God. Ye
Exactly.
shall be
So
riches
who
of
are these people right now? Is this the
Gentiles.
144 or is this the entire Israel at this particular moment?
Real quick, let me finish the text. It says, ye shall eat the riches of the Gentiles, and in their glory shall ye boast. So this is talking about the nation of Israel. So there's 1/3, which the 144,000 is not only a part of, but will govern the rest of that body.
For sure.
So it's talking about the whole elect.
Right, brother. That's what I'm saying. So it's like we got all the way over there just for me to say that I agree with that. But the thing that I think that we are ignoring is the fact that the nations some way and somehow are always cleaving.
I
So it's
mean,
like
nobody is denying that they're going to cleave.
exactly.
Cleaving and being equal are two different things. And that's what I'm saying is that they can cleave all they want. But at the end of the day, there's always going to be a stratification between us. They're going to be our servants. And there's nothing that cleaving is going to do about that. Just because they're our servants don't mean they're going to get their ass beat for all eternity. But there is going to be a time in which they're going to be beaten for the things that they did. And then after that time is over, the whole world's going to be better off, like Isaiah chapter 14 said.
Hmm.
Because look,
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Deuteronomy 30 is a promise from the Lord that says the curses that we experience got to go on them. There's no way around that.
And that's why I have an issue with that when we hear brothers say things like, "Oh, the laws don't apply to the heathens." You know what I'm saying? We the only ones that's under the law. So how is the law applying to the heathen in this aspect with the curses? Because we know that the curses apply to Israel. So why now is the law applying to the heathen? You get what I'm
Well,
saying? It kind of sounds
curse,
illogical.
curses and law, curses and under the law don't have to be synonymous. What we understand about why we're under the curses is because we made a covenant with the Most High that said, if we went off from the law, we would experience the curses.
Yeah, but
Deuteronomy
the
30,
covenant, but the
Deuteronomy
covenant,
30 simply says that they are going to experience the curses when we get redeemed from about of them. That's
but
not
that's,
contingent
but
upon.
bro, but check this out though, bro.
You get what I'm saying? So that
No,
you
I
understand.
agree with you. I agree with you. But again, I just think there's this gray area to where we are ignoring because you just mentioned the covenant, right?
What's gray?
And huh?
What's the gray area?
The gray area is the fact that the covenant that Yahweh gave to us as his people, it was, yes, one, it's a covenant that we are to keep, right? It's not given to nobody else,
Uh-huh.
but it is also a thing of wisdom to where if anybody else applies this wisdom, they will be successful. They will be granted with these gifts some fashion, some, you know what I'm saying? To some type of degree, they would have this because we see it even with America. You know what I'm saying? And I know that sounds crazy for me to say America is in its righteousness, but that's not what I'm saying. I'm saying that there is things about America that uses, the righteous things of God.
Like
Of
what?
course, I mean, just, now, at one time we were segregated, and then we see that we out of segregation. Now we are supposedly free, right? Things like this, that to where we have legislation um that preserves one's life. So like if you wanted to call the police and report on something, they're supposed to do that, and you are in the rightful legislation. You are in law to, convict somebody, to press charges on somebody. So we see that um a form of righteousness, or not a form of righteousness, but a form of law, and a form of not being anarchist. You know what I'm saying? We see a form of government, and that is ultimately what the scriptures is, you know, what the laws is trying to teach us to do is to create a government. And that's why I was saying earlier that we didn't get the chance to really, I mean, we did for a certain amount of time, but you know, we wasn't able to be in our rightful, our rightful government. We didn't rule. We ain't rule like we were supposed to. The nations would be, what does it say in the scriptures, that when the righteous are ruling, the nations are at peace, something to that degree. So it's like that was the point of Israel being a nation, was that we was to keep shit in check. We supposed to keep this world in check. And yeah, brother. And that it goes back to everything about just the fatherless, the orphan. You know what I'm saying? We started doing things that was like we was practicing usury on the servant that was already circumcised and bought. We was practicing usury on our own brothers. You see what I'm saying? So we kind of threw that all away, and then guess what happened? Edom became successful in using usury on us, and he used his wickedness to, as a form of righteousness, and now he's ruling, but the world is still fucked up, right? I know I just went on a tangent, but that's that's really what it comes all down to, and it's like if we can sit around and say, oh yeah, Israel is gonna we gonna have our foots on the nation's necks, right? We could do that all day, but my problem is when we gonna start saying that Israel is teaching the nations to do the right thing. And I will end it with this. I know that or that when are we gonna start saying and teaching that Israel should be a better example for the nations? And then um yeah, that's it, man.
You
That's
know.
really it.
So look, Isaiah 60, to answer your question, it says, "Arise and shine, for thy light is come, and the glory of the Lord is risen upon thee. For behold, the darkness shall cover the earth, and gross darkness the people, but the Lord shall arise upon thee, and his glory shall be seen upon thee." and the Gentiles shall come to thy light. So that's when we get redeemed up out of this captivity, we're gonna teach the world how to act right, and we're gonna give them get right.
But see, that's what I'm saying. I think we just jumped the gun a little bit, bro, because I agree with all of that. I agree with the fact that, we're gonna have the nations in subjection, right? But before we get there, there's things that we gotta do. And I really truly
Right.
believe that when the way that we see our brothers out on these street corners, you know what I'm saying, shitting on the nations, I feel like that's the wrong way we're supposed to be going about our judgment, especially when you see a person trying to receive the knowledge, right? And if they believe in Christ, that should be the end of it. You know what I'm saying? Like,
Can they
okay,
believe in Christ and not believe that the Israelites are going to rule over them?
I'm glad you said that, brother. Why is that so important when we
Because
don't
it's
know
a part
who?
of
But
prophecy.
we don't know who's the elect yet.
But that's a part of prophecy. That's why it matters. So again, can they believe in Christ and not believe that the Israelites are going to rule over them?
No, they can't. They can't.
It- That's exactly right. John 7:38, he that believeth on me, as the scriptures have said, out of his belly shall flow rivers of living water. So, that's why I would even challenge what it even means. Like, most heathen do not believe in Christ as they understand him, let alone as the scriptures have said.
Yeah.
So,
Nah,
you
I
know,
feel that. I feel that. But by the end of the day, yo, I I think the only thing you caught me on to where I didn't have a good rebuttal with was the fact that the seed is dictated through the father, to where I kind of yield to that, but at the same time I still feel like you didn't give me a reasonable explanation when it comes to just why is it okay for the father to do these things
to
when
do
it's
what?
clearly when it tells it. I'm saying, why is it okay for the men of Israel to make children with the nations,
Let me
right?
answer for you real
Yeah,
quick. Then.
yeah.
Deuteronomy 20. When thou go out to battle against thine enemies and seest horses and chariots and people more than thou, be not afraid of them, for the Lord thy God is with thee, which brought thee up out of the land of Egypt. And it shall be, when ye are come nigh unto battle, that the priest shall approach and speak unto the people, and shall say unto them, Hear, O Israel, ye approach this day unto battle against your enemies. Let not your hearts faint, fear not, and do not tremble. Neither be ye terrified because of them. For the Lord your God is he that goeth with you to fight for you against your enemies to save you. And the officer shall speak to the people, saying, What man is there that hath built a house and have not dedicated it? Let him return to his house, lest he die in battle, and another man dedicate it. What man is there that hath planted a vineyard and have not eaten of it? Let him go and return unto his house, lest he die in the battle, and another man eat of it. And what man is there that hath betrothed the wife and have not taken her? Let him go and return unto his house, lest he die in the battle, and another man take her. Now watch this. Let me move down a little further.
You get into the plucking of the fingernails and the hair and everything, right?
9. Then verse 10, it says, When thou comest nigh unto a city to fight against it, then proclaim peace unto it. And it shall be, if it make thee answer of peace and open unto thee, then it shall be that all the people that is found therein shall be tributaries unto thee, and they shall serve thee. And if it make no peace with thee, but will make war against thee, then thou shalt besiege it. And when the Lord thy God hath driven it into thine hands, thou shalt smite every male thereof with the edge of the sword. But the women and the little ones and the cattle and all that is in the city, even all the spoil thereof, shalt thou take unto thyself, and thou shalt eat the spoil of thine enemies, which Yahweh thy God hath given thee. Thus shalt thou do unto the cities which are very far off from thee, which are not of the cities of the nations, but of the cities of these people which the Lord thy God doth give for an inheritance, thou shalt save alive nothing that breatheth, but shall utterly destroy namely the Hittites, the Amorites, Canaanites, Perizzites,
Right,
Hivites,
right, right. The
Jebusites.
Canaanites, the 7 nations of the Canaanites.
God. So in conquest, we could take those people tributaries. But furthermore, in those conquests, hold on.
Now, the main thing I would focus on is the fact that it said you can eat everything that they got. You can take everything they got, basically, and
Yeah,
you're supposed to take that nation. You're supposed to
yeah,
take that land.
yeah. I'm not done though. I'm not done though. And when now, this is verse 10, and this is Leviticus 21. Salakia. And now when thou goest to war against thine enemies, and Yahweh thy God hath delivered them into your hands, and thou hast taken them captive, just like according to what we read before. So I just wanted to show that it's not talking about everybody in the world. It's talking
Right,
about people except for those nations that were
for
listed.
sure.
It
For sure.
says,
I agree with that.
and seest among them captives of beautiful women, and hast a desire unto her, that thou wouldest have her to thy wife, then thou shalt bring her home to thine house, and she shall shave her head and pare her nails. And you know how the story goes, but the moral of the story, it says you can do this to the nations that are far off. And
And
so
it's
that's
not
why,
talking about the 7 nations.
right. But that's
Right,
why it's
right.
Most High says so. It don't need to be more complicated than that.
But the issue though, brother, is that it tells us not to mix. It tells us not to. Okay,
Where,
okay, all
where
right,
does it
all right,
say?
all right, all right, all right, all right. I got you. I got you. It tells us. Okay, so you're saying that it's telling. Okay, I see what you're saying. I see what you're saying. I see what you're saying. But there's still an issue because it goes back to the tribes, man. It goes back to what's the brother's name? Zillapod.
No, it doesn't go back to the tribes, brother, because that only becomes an issue if a man does not have sons to continue the lineage and keep the possession to the family, right? And when that happens, if he has a daughter, then the daughter has to marry within the tribe. That has nothing to do with what men are supposed to do. Because a man can have a wife from another nation and he can have a princess from out of the Israelites. And guess what? The land inheritance isn't going to be fucked up. It's only going to be fucked up if that daughter marries somebody from outside and then gives that land as an inheritance to somebody it's not supposed to belong to.
Mm.
But I would say just listen back to the video. I'll post it, um, and then you'll be able to listen back over it and then take notes. But I would say don't listen to respond. Just listen to digest it and then
Nah,
add
for
it up.
sure, for sure, for sure. Con.
All right, but I'm about to get going, man. I'm sick. I gotta get some tea in me.
For sure, man.
But
I
I appreciate
appreciate you having that. Yeah, yeah, yeah. All of that, man. Shalom,
you. Like
brother.
2 months coming, huh? We were supposed to do this like 2, 3 months ago.
Yeah, I
Already.
was like, yo, I know I'm gonna catch him sooner or later, and I said I got the notification that you was live, so I was
Yeah,
like, yo, let me see what's good. So
yeah.
hopefully,
Finally
you know, what I
worked out.
mean, yo, hey, it'd be dope for you to post the joint, cause yeah, like you said, man, I wanna be able to just listen in and be able to just go back to the drawing board, cause hopefully we can do this again, because like I said, you know, I'm gonna keep it 100 with you again. You know what I'm saying? I had a moment where I stopped, you know what I'm saying, searching the scriptures. You know what I mean? There was a moment in time for me where I kind of put it back and I started researching other things. And I'm sure maybe you've been in that type of situation before, but I'm sure there's other people that have also experienced that, to where, you know, there's so much information out here to where we're trying to connect these dots, right? So I'm just on my journey now to where I'm like I'm picking up where I left off at, and I'm answering more questions for myself. And it's important that we have discussions like this to where we can be peaceful and, you know, and bow out gracefully. You know what I'm saying? And like I said, I yield to the point that what you just said, that you know, we not supposed to mix with the Canaanites, but the rest of them, it's all good, because you know it's about the father seed. You know what I'm saying? And I can't give you a rebuttal right now, but
Yeah.
what
But I
I'm trying to say is that hopefully we can do another discussion with this, because I'm gonna go back to the drawing boards, Osh. I'm gonna go back to it, and I'm gonna hopefully we can discuss this a little deeper.
All praises. I will say this though, I don't encourage no brother go out and get no damn heathen, man. Leave the dogs alone. The sisters need our love, and before we worry
But
about,
how we know though, bro? That's what I'm saying. How we know? How we know who's a dog and who's a cat?
real,
How we know who's a dog and who's a lion?
real quick, we do to the best of our ability, but the sisters need our love, and before we go trying to even figure out who to marry, we need to figure out how to love ourselves and our brothers the right way, so that when we bring them up, we're already bringing them to something where we've been able to establish a proper sense of community. We're not making them practice dummies and shit like that just for the sake of having wives. We need to make sure we have our ministry figured out before we have wives. Then it'll start to come together because, just marrying for the sake of marrying in a lot of ways can be a disservice, So I'm definitely not encouraged brothers mess with the heathen, mess with you an Israelite woman, lock her in and love her. There's no sense in wasting resources with some heathen woman. I
No,
will say that.
see, hey, bro, for you to say that, man, I could go all day with that, but I'm gonna leave it alone, Oz. I'm gonna leave it alone, cause I'm
Yeah,
gonna leave it alone, man.
but
I'm gonna go back to the drawing board, yo.
yeah,
At the same time, like, yeah, everything we discussed, I do feel like there's still a point of contention to where things need to be broken down a little bit more clearer, just concerning just the particular words. Gar, Tosab, Nakir. What's the other one that applies for us to, or no, the higher servant. What's the higher servant? It's Secure. I believe it's something to that effect. And I think these Hebrew words need to be looked at a little bit more further, because it's very confusing with the body of Yahweh Shah. You know what I'm saying? The people, to where it's like we get lost in the sauce when it comes to these words. And I feel like we do need a further understanding when it comes to these Hebrew words, man. And I didn't really get to break that down and go into just how the words change and what the words mean. You know what I'm saying? Due to the fact that I didn't have my notes in front of me, but hopefully we can do this again, bro.
Lord willing. But with that, brother, man, you have a blessed night. All praises to the Most High.
You too, bro.
And shalom.
Shalom.